Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We are live on a beautiful, beautiful Friday, Junior. I hope everyone out there is having a wonderful week. We are the Wrasslin for Life Network. We're back at it again with yet another live stream. It's Thursday, so we got Impact Wrestling on tap tonight. But both this man and myself have some MLW, which is kicking off with Raven, by the way, on screen as well. So we're going to double dip a little bit tonight. We got so much to get into, more rumors, more talks, more injury talk, more things going on in wrestling than you can shake a stick at. Then the good news is you got the Wrestling for Life for all your coverage. So strap in, strap on, grab your snacks, grab your feel goods, put a smile on your face. Let's go. Ding, ding, ding. We are live. We are live. Like I said, folks, we are the Wrestling for Life Network. We are the channel that just covers more live wrestling than anybody else. We are the channel for fans by fans. So get in that chat, say hello. I already see it blowing up. So thank you for being here. And make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Become a For Lifey. Do all the fun stuff. Check out all our links. But we got Impact Wrestling. We got a little bit of MLW. We're going to give it a little bit of a peek tonight as we look into their show. But just to remind everybody out there, I am Mr. Every Night KJ White, the Iron Man of YouTube, and I'm joined by Big Nick.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Wrestling for Life Network proudly brings to you its YouTube tag stream champions of the world, the Every Night Delight, KJ White. And I am not Luna Havoc. I am Big Nick. I know this is normally Thirsty Thursday around here with you and Luna covering Impact here, but unfortunately, I hope I can suffice.
Well, I mean, some of the gentlemen out there might be a little disappointed, but I think they'll survive.
Stay hydrated, boys. Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. There you go. Woof. But right. Yeah, as we get into a little bit of, I got Fantastic and Rayo coming out in MLW from AAA, and sorry, Nick, we will be kicking off our coverage of Impact in about 26 minutes. As we dive into that, we will watch on YouTube commercial free. For those who are new here on a Thursday, that's how we do it. But yeah, man, I mean, as we get ready for Impact and as we get ready for whatever's going to happen in MLW, lots going on in the wrestling world. I mean, the biggest story I think today a lot of people are buzzing about is the Bray Wyatt news, sir.
Yeah, I've kind of loosely caught clips of this or like a little bit word of mouth, all of that, seen a bit of the tweets. I haven't delved really into this. I don't know if you have, if you want to fill me in.
You know what? Again, not a whole lot of details. Just whatever injury he was dealing with was life-threatening and career-threatening, and he appears to be pulling through and is closer to a return than ever before. So positive news, and we figured, I mean, there was reports that he walked out, that he threw a temper tantrum, but I mean, it felt like there was something else going on with this. They were in the midst of something, and at the end of the day, I mean, it makes me think, like, did he get a staph infection? Not like, I mean, there's a lot of vague aspects.
Well, to me, you don't throw stuff around that lightly, and I'm glad that that's all that it really was. That's all I really seen, so I didn't know if there was anything more to it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, he's on the mend. I think it validates the initial story that came out of he was dealing with an injury and they didn't really let anything out. And honestly, it's not our right to know. We kind of always feel entitled to that as wrestling fans of knowing what somebody's going with, especially if it's, you know, could be personal, if it's that serious to where it could be potentially career and life threatening. They may want to play that kind of close to the vest.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, for this time now, I mean, we get a lot of reliable sources putting this out and talking about it. But yeah, I mean, it looks like he's closer to a return than he isn't, which, I mean, let's put the wrestling aside. I'm glad he is doing well.
Right. It's very much, I don't want to say completely similar, but much to like Big E's situation of at the end of the day, as long as that gentleman's fine, happy, and healthy, that's what matters more than if he ever steps foot in a wrestling ring again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the guy's a family man and he's got kids. He wants to, you know, it's quality of life, not just the ability to wrestle and entertain. us, but at the end of the day, it's good news. It's positive news, and I'm really curious because I think they're going to have to go a completely new direction with Bray. So it'll be very intriguing to see how they handle that.
Do we get less of the Fantastique there? As I've got Los Mazizos coming out right now on MLW, and don't worry, folks, we will get to the chat here. I've found half a dozen segues and wanted to get to it with talking about family and all of this. But do we get less of the Fantastique out of Bray Wyatt if he comes back? More of like what we saw the promo after what was it, Extreme Rules, when he came out and just really talked to the crowd. We get more of that Bray.
We might actually, and I mean, if he comes out and tells the story of what happened, then yeah, maybe. I mean, again, I don't know if we need. I think everybody just wants him to come in and be impactful, not just floating through with long monologues. I think they want him to come in and do something of substance. And who's to say they weren't planning that? They just took a really long time prior to him stepping away to get there. And the Mountain Dew shit did nothing to help him or his career.
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head there and then kind of carried on past it of he needs to be impactful. Speaking of impact that we're watching later tonight. He 100%. You saw it even a bit with the end of the Fiend. The Fiend initially was super impactful and then it lost its way. It lost its steam. This lost its steam even further and quicker out of the gate. So he really needs to come in and make an immediate impact and not seem like there's ways that you could poke holes at it.
Absolutely. Sorry, a little sidetracked here with what are we getting to start? Is this a fatal 4-way tag match to open the show?
I believe it's a kind of like a Triple Mania 4-way tag match is what it seems to be.
Yes. Okay. Ecstasies is here. Los Macizos is here.
Right.
Yeah, we got a whole load of lucha in the ring right now.
Lucha. But let's get to the chat here. Let's get to the peoples here. We got everybody filing in.
Right. Speaking of stumbling and fumbling.
Right. Steve G, what up? Ricky, what up? Good evening. Ronnie, what up? Bash, what up? JV, Bray has to reinvent himself. I think he comes back, like I said, if he just came out in the rocking chair and just cut a heartfelt promo and just actually spoke to people like I said, he did after Extreme Rules, we're back on the train.
Yeah, and again, I think his previous incarnation was just a lot of like, oh, I'm backstage being creepy. I'm over here being creepy. I'm in the ring being creepy, which is fine. Play your dark gimmick, maybe a little more in line with the swamp cult leader that we had once upon a time, but a little more true to him probably would work really well. But it would be interesting to run a babyface Bray Wyatt.
You still just have to find that thread of reality to it, and that's the thing that especially the Uncle Howdy stuff lost out of the gate was any thread of reality.
True. I mean, we had walking puppets, and we had Uncle Howdy, and so I mean, we'll see. I mean, what does this mean for Bo Dallas, who's not all been but confirmed?
You just gotta believe.
Let's go.
Richard, what up? Hey guys, should Bray come back with a faction? They tried that before. So has less of wrestling responsibility. Let his members wrestle and he manages more. Ew. Start moving them that way. I don't know. That's kind of what he was with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, and I'd be okay if he was in a bit of a faction, as far as especially if he is trying to find himself again and recovering from something pretty serious, that it would allow him to pick his spots. But then we're at least getting something, holy shit, from him. Like, you miss the days of Redbeard and Brody, flying into the ring and laying people out with Bray just sitting in the rocking chair laughing about it, and it still worked, right?
Right. Side note, Willie Mack is on commentary in MLW, and I'm already here.
Yes, he is, and chaos is ensuing. Multiple topes, multiple flips, a big springboard.
Everybody's getting dumped out right now.
One man dumped
springboard
himself
moonsault. But let's get back to you. JV,
yes.
Bray has to go the route of the American Nightmare. I don't know, because then he takes an L at the gate, I feel.
What, go start his own company?
No, if he went and he got into a feud with Cody. I mean, maybe.
Bray versus Cody works well. I mean, and you've talked about it before, the concerns of how do you get to the conclusion of that and Bray and Cody both get over. But, I mean, you would hope they do it in such a way that to me, Cody goes over, but Bray's still, valid. I don't know.
You can't keep at this point. Let's be honest. You can't keep selling us on hope for Bray Wyatt. You need something that's going to be solidified. You can't be. Everything's been the hopium, but eventually the hopium's going to run out.
Listen, I think if I was booking it, and I don't care who has it at the moment, but you have him come in and remove the U.S. title from whoever and walk around with the U.S. title for a while and have him torment people as U.S. champion.
Interesting.
Just to validate it a little.
Fair enough. Heather, I only watch Monday night and Friday night. Well, at least you watch us on the nights in between. Why?
We're here every night.
Right. The Every Night Delight. What? Mr. KJ White. What?
Uh-huh.
The Iron Man of YouTube. What? The Superman of streaming. What? Trey, what up? Alexis, what up? Get out of my swamp.
Yes.
Right. James, what up? We got everybody. Damien, what up? JV, well, we got Big Dog. You implying something with that roof? I mean, who let the dogs out, Big Dog?
Yeah, no, it wasn't me.
Right. Well, we're already up to here to where I'm broken saying, Oy vey, I'm on time today.
Hey, I'm broken.
Right. Boston, what up? Oh, and here, we'll end on this before we get back to the bottom here of JV saying, since I had a good time talking wrestling with you, KJ, I'm stopping by to check out Impact.
Hey, Nick always says that you give us 30 seconds, we'll keep you for the rest of your life.
Pause. Yes, and Broken, we can see you. Tony's Dark Nightmare, what up? Damon says, Alex Hammerstone returns to action tonight versus Daniel Limelight. Well, thank you for letting us know on MLW because I'm at least kind of new to the product. Like, I'll catch the bits, the stories that come out, but I've never sat and watched it.
Right now, this is like a fatal four-way AAA tornado. Like, there's no tagging. Literally, we just got a
that ring canvas is just a towel. It looks like on there. Someone's carpet is right now on that ring because it's all muffled, folded everywhere. Rolling Death Valley Driver. Into the corner.
Into two people, and now we got Mozizos running around with
baking trays, folks. Baking trays.
Give me some muffins. Let's go.
Pause. You gonna go CM Punk? I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with children.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I was really curious to see. I mean, we've been watching Ring of Honor on Thursdays, and a couple other channels still do that, but Ring of Honor has been lacking a lot. So I was curious to see what MLW would bring. Now, I didn't realize that it was going to be chaos out of the gate.
Yeah, right out the gate. But I do like they had it scrolling on the bottom. I caught it quickly to where they had like their actual rankings of like top 10 male fighters and stuff like that.
Okay.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah. Quick question. Like I said, how can you not like having Willie Mack on commentary?
Right. Can anyone see my comments? I can see it here, dude. I don't know about the front end because I'm not looking at it at the moment, but
yeah, no, I just popped in there to let them know. Yes, I didn't know when I mentioned it before that we could see you, that I needed to tell you again, we can see you.
There you go. Definite pause. Nick, fully agree. All right.
We got a table coming out now.
Well, you can't spell pause without us.
This man trying to steal my gimmick now, which I stole from somebody else.
Just stopping by to chill during halftime.
Oh, so you got that up too. I got that up as well because the New England Patriots pregame is on as well. And I'm not a Patriots fan.
The preseason shit. Who cares?
Because it's football. Welcome to America. It's football.
It's preseason.
I'm already amped for college football, my guy.
I don't want to watch preseason anything. Like it's like watching spring ball. Like what's the point?
That's because you're a Canadian.
Show up. No, well, we got preseason puck, but I mean even that I'm like they televise it nowadays. But I'm like,
huge spear, and yeah, this canvas is just everywhere. Springboard cutter.
Yeah, CFL. Is that still in action?
Might be. You're the Canadian on that. You got to report on that. You always get circumvented because of the Argonauts there.
Yeah, it's still going. I have no idea anything about the CFL guys. I'm not even going to apologize. I'm more likely to tell.
I was the one on here doing a show about the XFL. You don't think I'm going to be paying attention to football when it's on?
Well, you let me know what's going on in the CFL.
I'm fine. I'll get on that right away, boss.
Right. MLW is dope. I checked out the replay after Collision. Right on.
Well, definitely big fans of like Jacob Fatu, Alex Hammerstone,
Yeah.
Alex Kane, who just won their heavyweight championship.
Mhm.
We just had Jay Bougie, who
I was
is
just
now
about
going
to
to
say
be
that, yeah.
featured more on MLW.
Oh, shit.
So we
Dude.
very much have, like I said, we've always kind of piqued an interest in it, but never really sat and watched from start to finish.
Oh, dude, they have a car hood first and foremost.
A car hood.
And I think that was
bunch of
Arrow.
chairs and that
Like-
man. I've never seen a human being do a tope or a senton over the top rope and manage to do like the grease, like, you know, slide on the hood of the car at the same time. But I have never seen it. Right, go grease lightning, go grease lightning. This man just dukes a hazard a fucking senton.
I don't know if that was a botch or not. I don't know if that went perfectly.
I think that's the safest way you can take it. Like I said, go ask those Dukes of the Hazard boys.
Well, yeah, blew by Los Mazizos, took out the hood of the car, which they just set up. So they're like, motherfucker.
Right. Well, that's how you know that hood's been freshly waxed.
Pause. Hey guys, should we expect a Carmelo Wesley match at Heatwave, or will Dijak beat West next week? And see, I feel like they're leaning towards West, but I'd like Dijak.
Either way is kind of really interesting. I mean, it's hard for me. You're asking me to pick against the Dijak and it. Yeah, do it. But now we've got a pane of glass, by the way. But I'd be happy if it's a triple threat.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, he's kind of the odd man out, but I mean, this is where you kind of highlight the range of Dijak because we know what he can do.
Oh, absolutely.
Who's your football team, Nick? Or who's your college football team? Who?
Notre Dame.
I'm with you.
It's my initials, and that's what my family was diehard Notre Dame and Yankees, so can't go against those.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like Notre Dame just because Irish.
There you go.
Growing up, I was like, that's a cool logo. I was always a hat guy, right? Like I have collections of hats, and to me, it was like the teams were cool. Like forever, I grew up like every year for March Madness. I'm a huge fan of the Kentucky Wildcats. Now in the 90s when they were fucking destroying everybody, it was a good time to be a fan, but it was just because of their logos and shit. I was like,
fair enough. You're like, this guy's bearded and he always wants to fight everybody. I can get behind this mascot.
Exactly, right? Looks like my uncle. What are we gonna do?
Right.
Because it's football.
Yeah, Yankees boo. I like the Raiders logo. Gee, Tony, I couldn't tell. Your logo, that logo is, I'll admit, that logo is pretty dope.
I like it.
Yeah.
With the maple leaf on it. Good touch, Tony.
Yeah. Here, JV explains it for us. In America, football is life. I know people who follow not only the NFL and college, but follow high school and even Pee-wee football. That's a bit much now.
That's aggressive, right?
Yeah, that's very aggressive.
Start telling me what ranked high. Oh, you know, Peter High.
Yeah, if you're, scouting middle schoolers, I think you might have a different problem.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Please stay away from the field, sir.
Yep. That's enough. Brandon, what up? Good evening, Wrestling for Life gang.
Mm-hmm. And I've watched enough football movies to realize what football means to your country.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
JV's University of Michigan fan, but you're in New Jersey. You're not like Rutgers or something like that. Then again, I'm from New York, live in New Hampshire. But
Bash, I could not agree with you more. This is probably the most agreeable statement I heard tonight.
You hate us because you ain't us.
Yeah, I hate you because I'm stuck in a division with you, and I got to put up with you.
Well, I mean, right now, I think might be ahead of us, actually.
I a little bit.
Yeah, we're now having to eat the crow that everybody else in the league has had to eat with dealing with us. Oh, and powerbomb through a pane of glass. Super powerbomb now.
Oh, it's over. Mazizos big win.
Oh, suplex, bridging suplex into the glass.
Yeah. Oh, opening match. We had glass, car hoods, baking sheets, chairs.
Now I see though why they had the blanket, the carpet out there for the tarp, so now they can just roll that up instead of having to take a pause.
Yeah. Los Mozizos.
Right. I'm a Cubs fan from Cali. Fair enough.
A Cubs fan from Cali. Interesting.
Speaking of NCAA, what do you think of the whole conference shakeup? You won't get this question.
Why?
because it's college football and teams from out west, like I believe like Oregon and stuff, USC are moving to the Big Ten, which is in the middle of the US.
Yeah, I just watch a lot of TSN, so I kind of know what's happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't mean nothing by it.
No. Again, just vague overviews, right? Like, especially like it's not like I'm following it or watching the games.
Right. To me, I think it's super interesting. To me, I think they really it shows that we need to really change up the whole conference system to where we've got teams that are on one side of the country in the same conference of the other side of the country.
Pause.
It's literally you'll have. Oh, I see what you did there. But like I'm waiting to see when USC has a game at like Michigan or Penn State in the middle of winter and like a whiteout game at Penn State when it's snowing, and see how USC deals with something like that.
Yeah, no shit, eh? Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Braves and Angels. All right. The only thing I know about the Braves is Ricky Vaughn.
That's Indians, by the way.
Oh, that was the Indians, and no longer the Indians.
No, right? Now the Guardians. Sorry, can I say the Indians now? But no, the Braves. Wait, I grew up with a kid that was a huge Braves fan, but right now they're the best team in baseball.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of Blue Jays management, so there you go.
And doing good. Angels, please, can we just have Ohtani over in New York? Please, you can keep Trout. He keeps getting hurt. Just let us have Shohei.
Trout, what a contract, but oof. Some of those baseball contracts are gnarly and
they're insane. It's insane to watch a sports organization, a sports league that does not have a salary cap in the US. It's getting insane.
You figure like top hockey players are making like 12 million.
Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid by the New York Mets and has not played in at least 20 years, I want to say, if not more.
The Mets are infamous for bad contracts, bad decision, bad management, bad ownership. Hey, shout out to Brian Lass and your Mets, buddy.
I was going to say, the trades that they made at this deadline, they're about to still be paying other pitchers $90 million to pitch for other teams.
Yeah, it's insane. Dijak should be the next the NXT champ before he leaves. No idea why he's never won it. I think because I think what fucked Dijak up was retribution.
Oh, 100% it was with that. Did he win the North American Championship at one point? Because I remember he had the fantastic feud with Keith Lee. That's what really helped Keith Lee get to where Keith Lee being double champ and everything. Yeah. And right around that time, I think before that was when Dijak was feuding with Keith Lee. So I can't remember if Dijak ever held the title.
I don't know.
But yeah, he got screwed when he went to Retribution. No one came out of that looking well at all. But it really made everybody forget of, how fantastic he was, that he was literally on par, as viewed as Keith Lee was and as spectacular as Keith Lee was. Dijak was right there.
Oh, no, he was outstanding. You couldn't have had one without the other. He got himself over. And then after that, we saw Keith Lee skyrocket for a while, and then they botched him. But he ended up in Retribution, and then he ended up kind of nowhere. And now he's returned to NXT as Dijak, which is kind of a better approach for him. And I think he's great. I would like to see him continue to go on a warpath here. And yeah, if he was to become NXT champion, I'd have no problem with it.
Because you can see Carmelo moving up, and does Wesley? Could you see him as NXT champ, or does he just jump to the main roster and goes towards the mid-card title? I don't know if he gets a world title.
And Wesley's a tough one for me, man, because I worry about where he fits into that. Like, if he ends up on the main roster, where does he go? Like, could Wesley take down a Gunther or take on a Drew or like?
But he works really well as that under babyface and everything.
Very true.
So I think he would work well in that division. I mean, I was going to say big props to Wesley of this man. We thought when his tag partner got released, he was going to be next on the door on the chopping block. And now he's got himself as one of probably the highest or one of the highest touted prospects in WWE.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I've been a Cubs fan since Sammy Sosa and his loaded bats.
Yeah, and his cork bats and his juiced guns and all of that.
Oh my God, that was I'm telling
That
you,
was still amazing for baseball. I went to
that was the
Expos.
best time.
I went to an Expos game specifically to watch Mark McGwire bat.
Oh, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. They were hammering shit. That's why the Blue Jays are pretty fun. Judge, the guy just
I
moves
was
the
gonna
bat
say
and the
with the
ball
Bronx
goes out.
Bombers.
Yeah, fuck.
Well, and still, and even when speaking of the Expos, you had Vlad. And now you've got his kid.
Yeah. Heard Wardlow is depressed that he's not being. Yeah, I heard these reports. I read these reports, and I've heard other people talk about the depression of Wardlow. I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people, and It's funny because you almost expect like people to start like tweeting out responses to Wardlow of like, "Well, I can't believe you're depressed. This company's wonderful." But yeah,
Don't say that because someone can do
it. But at the end of the day, I mean, Wardlow's a good talent. He's a good young talent. And if I was him, I would just be counting the days till my contract expires.
I want to see him paired back up again with MJF. By the way,
have you seen
got this? Cardona versus Mace in a kiss my foot match. Well, no, I was amazed there by I guess MLW's version of the Trailer Park Boys there with the second gear crew.
Yeah. This show is chaotic. The SST is beating up someone in a backyard.
It's like if Impact and Lucha Underground had a child.
Fatu in the house.
I live in Ohio and we still call them the Indians. Fair enough. Jordan, what up?
What's up,
bro? Now you got me thinking of like Jabu and everything like that.
I love it all.
J-Boy, what up? Damon's still letting us know. Fly through this. Jacob's just screaming his ass off right now.
Yeah.
If you could make 3 trades between WWE and AEW, who would it be? That's an interesting question.
That's a fucking great question. I like that question a lot. I mean, we're 2 minutes away from Impact, but 3 trades. Oh.
Should we pin that and make that a separate?
Yeah, I guess we could do that. Absolutely, we can get back.
Or I mean, if we want to answer it now, we can.
Yeah, no, we can definitely pin it. But yeah, it's a really solid question. I think there's definitely a couple people that if we could get them out of AEW, would be good for them. But there's also a couple people like, would you send like a KO or Ciampa to AEW to get one of the big guys out of there?
Well, that's the thing is you got to keep in mind if we're looking at it as a trade, then you have to still very much view it as it's got to equal. So
yeah, it's got to be some fair
make that trade back,
right?
We can't just be out here fantasy drafting.
Well, we could do what
like I'll trade you Mansour for Kenny Omega. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
That's not how it's going to work. But yeah, no, that's a great question.
Right, Redbirds I like, but they're in last place. I feel like I kind of feel that with my Yankees there. Sadly, who's your pick between Mike Bailey and Kushida? Who's your pick, sir?
Go Kushida just because I'm tired of Mike Bailey.
Fair enough. So then I'll go with the Canadian. I'll take Speedball. I'll do the Speedball. Pause. Accusations.
Dun dun dun.
Damien asking if we could stream MLW Fury Road September 3rd. We'll have to
highly considering it. Highly considering it. Just because of we'll look at the schedule and see what it's up against. I believe that's a busy weekend. It's even like the weekend of All In. There's like 3-4 pay-per-views, which you can do what you can do. But we'll let you know, Damien. We'll keep you posted on that one.
Right, fair enough. But right now on MLW, as I'm right now waiting for Impact to kick off. But we've got a replay of the situation between Alex Kane and Willie Mack, which, speaking of Alex Kane and Boomaye and all of that, we just interviewed Jay Bougie. So go ahead and check that out, who just got initiated, I guess is the way you can put it, into the Boomaye Nation.
Absolutely. Great interview. Great time talking to Jay. Really good talent, really good head on that man's shoulders. And he's got a lot of goals and aspirations. And we were pretty much one of the last interviews as he's getting ready to make this jump. So it's cool for him.
Well, and also quick side note too. Also, a friend of the channel, Jules, is also the ring announcer for my local promotion, where Alex Kane's actually there this weekend and everything.
It's true story.
Right.
But here comes Danny Limelight. Funny story. Danny Limelight owes me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I was about to just go with, speaking of the Trailer Park Boys earlier, you know, what comes around is all around, Ricky.
Right.
As I've got Impact kicking off right now, by the way of.
Yes.
I have the promo package with Perazo and Trinity versus you're gonna have to help me with this name. Killer Kelly. No.
Killer Kelly.
With the women's tag team.
Kylie King and Taylor Wilde.
There we go. Thank you.
There you go. So yeah, we're gonna replay that little segment from last week.
Like I said, I'm being the stand-in for Luna here, so hopefully, you know, everyone stayed hydrated tonight and everything. But you know,
right. Yeah, we'll get to that. When will you have Sting on as a special guest on his channel? We've tried to talk to him. The lights keep going out. Don't know what's happening. So
I got a lot of bruises from this bat on the back of my neck and everything like that. Every time I try and ask him for an interview.
Yeah, folks, we will let you. Oh, sorry, Nick.
No, you're good.
Folks, we will let you know we are watching Impact on YouTube. It is just kicking off. Yes, a little bit later than it does on Access, but we go commercial free. We finish up at the same time without commercials, which is real nice. And we are also peeking in at MLW. We are going to give you all the action. We're going to keep talking wrestling. If you guys want to talk about any wrestling company, we're open. Let us know what's on your wrestling mind. Let us know what we can dive into. And make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button. The channel is on fire right now, folks, and we appreciate all of the support and love.
Absolutely. I had to hold back so many what's there. But no, I was just going to tie in with speaking about this we've tried to reach out, and obviously we've have, you know, interviews lined up and everything like that, but we've, you know, still always reached out to names like that. So go and tell them they need to be on this show and everything.
Right. Wow. We're kicking Impact off with ABC Ace Bailey Club. They're no longer the Bullet Club because they don't have Jay White anymore. But they are coming out part of the tag team tournament, guys, where the winner of this match will go on to face the winner of last week, which was the Rascals, to find out who the new number one contender for the tag belts will be.
There we go. Sammy Sosa for the Hall of Fame. That's a whole different discussion.
That's a long one.
Yeah. That's a morality question. But is it me, or is the Bullet Club now just far too fractured and everything? It's gone the way of how the NWO did towards the end of WCW, to where you had the NWO black and white, the silver and black, the red and black. You had the pink and black. You had all these different fucking variations and colorways of it.
Yeah, it becomes too splintered, right? You get into the 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th rendition of who they are. And again, they are fractured and splintered all over the place. Various names, for obvious reasons. And beyond that, I think the names change. Like once upon a time, it was, no offense to the current rendition of it, as far as the core Bullet Club, they're just not pulling the headlines the way other Bullet Clubs had.
Right. Well, I was about to say which is more of a spread out family tree here, the Bullet Club or the Anawahi family?
Neck and neck, bro.
I feel like they both deviated as far as wide as they can.
Right.
Oh, Gilly's got a good question or a good statement here. KJ knocks it out the park with good questions during the interviews. Shout out. I want to see Big Nick get in some questions. Well, I did one interview so far on the channel, which was with Gigi Jacobs, if you want to check that out. But yeah, no, we'll see. We got to make it line up to where either both of us and everything can be on, for an interview.
Wow. Absolutely. Doors open. I just smile because I know I know the answer. So that door is always open. Impact needs Y2J. Nobody needs Y2J. Nobody.
No, not even the Jericho Appreciation Society needed Chris Jericho anymore.
What did you think of that whole bullshit to open the show last night?
I haven't watched it.
Oh, good. Lucky
I've
you.
just heard of it. I thought it was inevitable. I thought it was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I still find it interesting that they still have their almost like their loyalty still amongst each other. Like Coke and Diet Coke still came out with Anna Jay. I mean, it's the first time in a hot minute we've seen Jack Swagger, and he still likes the hat. So he does still speak. I Am Groot still speaks now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you get anything real out of it? To me, it was just it was.
Oh, it was gratuitous. It was a horrible way to open the show. It set the tone for what ends up being a very lackluster Dynamite, and unfortunately, I think just bad order to it. Like, I mean, you could have opened the night with the women's match, but for the second week in a row, Sheeta's in the main event, not doing the women any favors, and then you open the show with this long contrived, like each person gives a monologue and walks out. Like, fuck. Then you go to commercial break, you come back, you're in the back with Jericho, and you're like, fuck.
Oh, it continued past the commercial break. Like I said, I had just read about the results and kind of the synopsis. I hadn't watched anything.
Yeah, no, it just wasn't a good start to the show, and I don't think anyone really gives a shit. Like, it's not like the fans there were losing their mind and booing and cheering, and the odd sizzle or pop a little bit, but I don't think anyone's that invested in the breakup. Like, everyone's like, okay, do it, let's move on, but they're dragging it out like it's this long like the Heenan family is breaking up, and it's not.
Right. Yeah. Evolution is done here.
Yeah.
JV, end it before the fans end it for you. I don't know if you're talking about JAS or what, but
Bullet Club, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say again, I didn't watch it yet, but am I wrong in guessing that Garcia's dance got the biggest pop out of the whole segment?
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
It really did. Jake Hager on the mic is not the greatest. He said things like, we have other options. Like, what, Jake? You don't do shit. I mean, talk about.
We haven't seen you in a month, Jake.
But
we didn't even know you still worked here.
Yeah, Danny's hip thrust definitely got the biggest pop. Unnecessarily thrusting at his former mentor. It might end up being somewhere Jericho versus Sammy, if anything, that lingers from this.
Yeah, I think that's been the longest hanging thing of that Sammy's still, Jericho's protege, which, by the way, we have Rich Swann and Sami Callihan taking on ABC. 1, 2, 3.
ABC. You guys should get Jericho. I would love to have Jericho on. I'd love to have an open conversation from fan to fellow Canadian and talk it out. And I would love to have that interview. I would love it, but he would never.
I want to see who we could get on here first, Chris Jericho or Ryback.
Well, Ryback been ducking us like fucking.
Yeah. Feed me more. Apparently not, sir.
Yeah. Oh, I'll go on anywhere. And you're all right. Okay, do it. Come on. Let's talk.
Step up, big boy. Bye. Do you think JAS ended at the right time? No. Or was it a faction that lasts too long? Yes. Or it's so good. I think JS actually hindered Daniel Garcia and Sammy's progression of stars.
Yes, all of the above. That's accurate. And we talked about this last night. Like, I mean, Jericho's done this before with Santana Ortiz, with MJF, where he's held people up and got in their way. And I thought Danny with 2.0 running around and just being paint. Remember when they were fucking with Eddie and it was kind of fun?
Yeah.
And they're like, that was what Jericho took away from them because they became secondary. They became unimportant. They became underused. So, yeah, I mean, this went on way too fucking long, like most Jericho shit.
He managed to have a faction that he just sucked the talent and life out of, as well as trying to constantly have feuds that he just sucked the heat and the momentum out of.
Right.
As Hammerstone, by the way, is taking it to Danny Lamlight. As Chris Bay with a moonsault on a Sammy and Swan. After Callahan just hit a pile driver on the apron.
Right. So we got lots of action going right now, and this is all building for emergence. Our very own Luna Havoc, who's not that person, will definitely be in.
Like they couldn't tell.
Right, in case you didn't know. But you could at least, never mind.
Could I at least dressed up here?
I was gonna that wasn't the comment, but thank you for cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Yes, she will be live at Emergence, so that will be fun.
Right. Chris Jericho applied for a job as a clown with Ringling Brothers Circus once they told him he was overqualified.
Okay. Okay. Who's your pick between Hammerstone?
Yeah. Hulk Hogan's illegitimate son.
Yeah, right. Trade Gravity and Commander to WWE so Vince could fire them.
But no, wait, Vince has nothing to do in the day to
No.
day because it just so happens after he gets,
Yeah, he's
a search warrant and everything, he has spinal surgery afterwards.
yes, smart man.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, send fucking. I don't know what to do with Gravity and Commander anymore.
Just let them flip off into infinity.
Oh, near fall. I've said this before, and I will say it again. Jericho is doing in AEW what they did to him in WCW right before he made the jump. Hulk Hogan.
That doesn't make it good, though. Like I get what you're saying, but at the same time, yeah, it's just so what? So because people were shit to you doesn't mean you have to be shit to other people. Just saying.
No. I mean, and that's what it is Jericho's in the way. Jericho, and I mean, listen, I said this last night about Sting. They announced that tag match, and I'm like, man, you don't have somebody under the age of 30 or, at a decent prime of their career that could be in that spot instead of Sting. I love Sting, but you got 3 really talented young wrestlers that could use a 4th person contributing to that tag match. And yeah, you got Sting.
Right.
So I feel like Jericho's doing the same thing, just in the way.
Unfortunately, and he is never going to get moved out of that spot because Richard, I see you've been very heavy with the long chats there and everything. I will remind everybody that we do have the super chats, the super stickers and everything. If you want to make sure that we get to your comments and just stand up and show out, because that's what the show is about. But how do you feel about this story coming out about Chris Jericho talking about Tony Khan being upset that Dave Meltzer didn't give Chris Jericho's match a 5-star rating?
I talked about it a little bit last night as well, my friend. And listen, this whole Jericho thing blows my mind. And I always say this, like I listened to Jericho's podcast once upon a time. Then it became so self-flating. It became just like it's off-putting. It's complete. Like, I don't want to hear this. And the guy puts out an episode of like the greatest moments of me on this show. And I was like, Jesus Christ, bro. It's you, right? Like, you're going to talk about you for 2 hours?
Right.
Great. And yeah, I mean, dude, we knew that was true. We know that's why Meltzer's doing what he's doing with the fucking stars. We know that Jericho versus Commander was nothing but a 1.5.
But wait, it's 4 3/4, which according to Dave with his interview with Chris Van Fleet is just the same. So why are we getting mad here? Because we're all hoity-toity. We're buddies with another P2 with Dave Meltzer there. But we're getting mad about 5 stars.
Yeah, Hammerstone took out Danny Limelight, for those who were wondering. ABC's in control of Swan and Callahan at the moment. But yes, Nick, to me, it's this whole gratuitous thing. It's this whole self-serving bullshit. Like, and that's why Dave Meltzer gave Jericho and Commander 5 stars, because he's terrified. And it shows when Dave Meltzer,
he gave it 4 3/4
or 4 3/4, where the fuck it was. But whatever Meltzer's, like, that's where Meltzer isn't gutty enough. Like, if you're going to give it the rating, stand by your, it's all the same thing. No, Dave, say the truth. Well, it wasn't fucking nearly as good, but
there is no truth to it.
Yeah, like, fuck. You got to be straight up.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, so it blows my mind, right? Like, well, Tony was mad. Well, fuck what Tony thinks. You don't work for Tony, or do you, Dave?
Right. Crossface chicken wing from Sammy right now as Bay and Swan Ace Austin are dumped on the outside, but it looks like Fusion might be done.
Yeah,
because I got the lower third there. But to me, the fact that this is a story that we're talking about, that this is a public story and everything, is beyond ridiculous and really exposes how we've said of they're fucking marks for themselves.
Yeah. They don't give a flying fuck what the fans at large think. As long as there's a pocket of people that think they're cool and they can tell each other how wonderful they are, it doesn't matter. And it's hurting the company. As a fan, it's hurting my feelings. Stop it.
They've tuned into a select view of audience, or a select group of the audience, and they feel like if they get them ravenous enough and so invested enough that they can either survive on that, or that will then cause everyone to spread to everyone else, when they've really done nothing but, to an extent, kind of turn away, at least on certain things. Like Collision, I think, is still, as much as its numbers don't show it with going against SummerSlam, I think that's gaining more traction than they'd like to admit. But I think what they really think is the biggest prominent things on their show are starting to alienate the audience.
The good hands are here, just causing trouble as they break up the tag and they're distracting Rich Swann. So
no DQ, no DQ.
Ref is down apparently. I don't see a referee.
I'm looking at Stripes right now, escorting Swann and one of the good hands to the back.
Oh.
So
I'm shocked. Okay.
Skull crushing finale, and then
pile driver for the win.
So Callahan and Swann advance due to interference from the good hands.
Yeah, which I thought it was going to be ABC versus the Radicals.
But, just high fly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the winner gets Subculture. So what does that tell you?
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey guys, similar to how Vince didn't like high flyers, does Tony not like big men? I think we've talked about this quite a bit, that they don't know what to do with the big men because, I mean, they got a lot of little guys.
There's such an anomaly around there. That's why Brian Cage and Big Bill are the tag team that they are, and they actually do kind of work together a bit.
Yeah.
But that's why they've gotten put into a prominent spot, because there's literally no one else on the roster that can compete with them. Think about it. MJF, I get still what he's doing and everything, but he sold slamming Big Bill like slamming Andre because there's no one else on the fucking roster that's close to that size.
Absolutely. How did you feel about the MJF stuff? Like, how do you feel about they're going to have a tag match on 0 Hour?
Let me acknowledge some new faces that have shown up before I kind of go on that for a minute here.
Okay.
Jack, what up? Aaron, what up? Jake, go and check out Jake in the Discord, by the way. What up, my guy?
What's going on?
Oh, Steven Chambers, how's Impact so far? Well, we've only had one match, and right now we're getting Santina Morella, John Cena back here with
Fusion is 46 minutes.
Who's what?
Yeah, MLW's done.
Yeah.
We got what, 2 matches?
Three.
Okay. All right.
I believe. Maybe 2. J-Boy. Big shout out, by the way, to Nick and KJ, guys. Thank you so much for sharing my podcast on Twitter. Big shot in the arm for me, guys. Appreciate the endorsement and support. Bloods from other buds. Appreciate it, my guy. 100%. That's why we're family here. That's why. Sorry,
Nikki.
I was just gonna say that's why we got the For Life in here, because in the name and everything. Because when you're here for life. Why?
That's it. But yeah, no, we think it. We're all about the community, guys, and then we've done everything we can to keep this one positive, minimize the tribalism, bring everybody together, watch all the wrestling we can. We don't just watch one show or 2 shows. We watch as many as we can fit into our calendar, and
still stay sane as sane as we are.
Yes. So big shout out to Big Dog. Thank you for being here all the time and the support. So woof woof, my guy.
Oh,
what's up, JD Fierce in the house?
Right. Oh, Steven brings up a point that I wanted to talk about too as well. And I know we were going to talk about the MJF thing.
Yes.
Here's my beef why Toni Storm has a bye and Sheeta has the title and she has to wrestle last night qualifying for the 4-way All-In. Yes, I think that's ridiculous. I think this is it's such a knee-jerk reaction for Tony Khan with this. I think
Yep.
it reeks of that.
It's the same thing he did when, like, we've seen it in the past. When you don't have confidence as a booker, you knee jerk to shit. And he's done it before where they are on the right path, and then the Twitter fans will like get on a fucking soapbox, and he'll completely change his direction. And that's what he's done here.
Well, it was what? It was 2 Dynamites or 2 shows consecutively that women had main evented the show. And this is just such a knee-jerk for a tournament. And I feel like the bracket, you kind of already tell who's going to be in the Fatal 4-Way. It's going to be Britt, Tony, Shida, and Saraya.
Called it.
And why does the champion need to qualify for the Fatal 4-Way for her title when the incumbent champion invoking her rematch clause gets the bye?
As I was informed last night by certain people, well, she invoked her rematch clause, so you fight the champion. Like, you don't like that.
So then you build Shida versus Tony Storm at Wembley.
So that's what they should have done, is build towards, like, again. So this is what I said last night, Nick. Booking Shida or booking the women in the main event is like Jericho, quote unquote, putting over Action Andrade. He let him win the match, but he never put him over. Tony's doing the same thing here with the women. Well, I'm booking them better. I put them in the main event. No, but you're not helping them. You're actually hurting them. They had to follow. Sorry, they had to follow BCC and the Lucha Bros last night. Like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Well, that's one thing. I think as I've got Dirty Dango coming up right now. So we're getting Dirty Dango versus, I'm unfortunately not going to try and pronounce that man's name because I know I'm going to mess it up worse than you ever could.
Don't be surprised.
Right, but to me, like the Shida Tony Storm match, especially when Shida won the title, deserved that spot. That was a great spot to jump off of. And then now this has all been, oh fuck. They still weren't happy enough. Versus staying to your guns. I get there is the groundswell, and it is still a natural thing that just needs to happen, honestly. Of the women's division across pro wrestling needs to an extent, still always be booked better. If we don't keep progressing with that, then we'll never move forward.
Yeah, booked better is the key here. And I think putting Shida and Anna Jay to open the 9 o'clock hour, or the buffer in the middle of the first hour, or coming out of the opening segment, opening the show even, but building it with an angle, building it with a reason, a storyline, an angle. Like maybe it was a segment between Storm and Shida based on what happened last week to help build a match. That is better booking. Just putting them in the main event spot is not better booking. You're hurting the show, you're hurting the women's division, and you're giving people a reason to tune out. Because, I mean, people said it last night. You know Shida's not losing that match. You have no reason to watch the last 15 minutes of Dynamite last night.
But that still goes into why does she need to qualify into the tournament? That's
well,
what
that's
I'm saying.
Part of it.
That's the knee-jerk reaction. When she won the title off of Tony Storm, I can't give him, he gets an applause for that booking. I think that's where you needed to go with that, and that's not any knock on Tony Storm as a talent. It's just the faction that she's been in with. The story, she was still attached to the hater story that unfortunately sizzled out due to injury. So you needed a clean slate. You needed a new jumping off point with that.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when we were going through the Acclaim stuff and similar things happened where they didn't win when they should have, and then the fans kind of murmured about not being happy about that. And at the time I said, listen, if you give them the belts as a knee-jerk response, you're going to burn out the Acclaimed. And that's exactly what they did. Was the very next chance they got, they won the belts. It wasn't as big of the moment that you missed. And instead of building it and now forcing it to forcing a chase and stretching it out, so when they did get to a big event or a big moment and finally got it, you just handed it to them. And then it fizzled out. Now they don't have the belts. They don't have Billy. They're not really doing much.
Has that become a trait of Tony Khan's booking style, is jumping the gun too soon, of not being steadfast or not believing enough in your booking to stand by it and let it build more.
Yeah. And that's one thing you will say about the WWE. Love it or hate it, they do what they're doing. They don't, right? There's very little change. Like even with like all the fucking momentum behind LA Knight, they're like, we'll do it when we're ready. We'll get there. Like you don't see it just instantly out, LA Knights US champion. No, like we keep going through hard times.
Yeah, but they still also at times they have the opposite problem to where
Where
they
they go
wait
too
too
far.
long and let the shit sizzle out here. Well,
Mhm.
as Gilly's saying, I call favoritism. Well, you can call all you
100%.
want, and you can be and completely inaccurate with that because literally, I think we both were saying good
Mhm.
things about AEW. It's just the way that we got here isn't actually helping the women's division. It's showing a knee-jerk reaction
Yeah.
versus trying to actually
Mhm.
buckle down and invest in it.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, putting them in the main event spot unearned and
Well, that goes
undeserving.
even well, we've got the whole situation with WWE with Becky Lynch about lemonade's now been the biggest talking point since Beyonce, but we've got the whole back and forth between Hunter and Becky about lemonade and
It's
how
adorable.
yeah, but and even how people were trying to put out there that Rhea was upset that she wasn't booked on SummerSlam to go against Raquel, which I think that still needed to build anyways, but
I still think it's horseshit. I don't
it's
think she's
not
upset at all.
it's not a company issue, it's a profession issue about booking the women's division better. Or
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, just real quick. Bravo throws up the flashlight, giving Dango the chance to get the W. And Dirty Dango with the win. For anybody who's been watching Dirty Dango, someone mentioned it in the chat that his vignettes and his promos have been kind of interesting and funny. Yeah, Dango's doing his thing.
This man has been interesting since he was trying out for, I believe it was the Tough Enough, or at least trying out with WWE, and he poured the fucking milk over his head while he's eating cereal and shit. Like this man is a little obtuse.
Right. The AEW rating was 846, so not a bad showing for them in all things being equal.
But they've all stayed about the same.
Oh,
That's
that's it. Like their peaks aren't high enough, and the people that they're paying the most money to aren't bringing in the most people, which doesn't
well,
make any
and
sense, and
they
it creates a problem.
normally by the main event, depending on the main event, they tend
Mhm.
to start heading towards the door.
Well, that's it, and I wonder here, and that's where Tony says, "Well, we're getting low ratings on them, but you're not doing anything of interest with the women." And I will say this, at least in the WWE, a lot of the women are doing something. We might not love it, but even Maxine Dupree and Valhalla are doing something. There's a lot of women up to something in the WWE. There's nothing going on with it's just spot matches.
Speaking of something, I
Holy
have
shit!
Jake
Speaking of
something coming
something,
out right now. So we've got Jake something squaring up with Dirty Dango right now. But yeah, it's just because you put it out there and don't change anything about it isn't going to magically make it better. You actually
yeah,
have to put some time and effort and some
mhm.
thought and some circumstance behind it here. Now, some people have thrown out that maybe we need to go back to where Kenny was more in charge of the women's division.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer, man. I think there's got to be somebody better. Right? We can't have all the Joshi fucking wrestlers start showing back up. I don't want to see Rio as champ. I don't want to see fucking it. No. You have a lot of women's talent. I mean, you brought Madison Rain to help book it, and she loves it there apparently. But by
Well,
the
yeah,
way,
because she's still competing.
I saw Pat Buck's going to be in a match.
On what? Ring of Honor?
Yeah, Pat
He's
Buck's.
had a few since he's become an agent. That's the thing, is it's notorious now if your backstage talent still gets a match. That's why OC might be backstage talent too.
I cannot
Think about it. Your
recall.
EVPs are on screen talent.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And again, if you're going to pay the Young Bucks more than you paid anybody ever, as far as tag teams go, if you're going to pay Jericho a truckload and give him a decade contract, if you're going to pay, your top level people like a Britt Baker and they're not your top level talent, you get that shift in your pyramid where that's where you get the infighting. That's where you get the problems. That's where you get things not progressing and you're stuck at somewhere between 800 and 900,000 on average. Some weeks are worse, some weeks are better. Some segments are doing worse than NXT segments now. It's crazy.
It just shows that you need to have an actual build and a continuity to some of this stuff. But speaking of continuity, let's go back to the chat of Tony saying, yeah, it is, but I'm an AEW fan. Oh, it almost feels
Me
like
too.
it's overbooked. because he was saying how his booking's a bit much sometimes.
Yeah.
I agree, KJ Nick. Sheeta versus Anna Jay shouldn't have main evented. They didn't get main event time, and Sheeta having to qualify for her own belt is unfair. See,
it's ridiculous, nonsensical.
Right. The knee-jerk reaction not only burned out the Acclaim, but they ruined Swerve and Lee in the process. You took the titles off the Acclaim to put them on the Gun Club just to drop them to FTR.
True story. All because the Bucks didn't want to man up.
Well, we're going to get that at All In.
Man, I was talking to somebody last night about the same idea of I highly, if I had to put money down right now, the Bucks are going over, and it bothers me in my soul.
I think, and now hear me out. This could be the vitamins, or could this just be on a last-ditch hope and a prayer? Is we get FTR goes over, and then we somehow, by hook or by crook, we get to a build in Chicago at all out, CMFTR versus the Elite.
And then the Elite go over CMFTR.
That's how else do you sell a pay-per-view the week after your biggest alleged pay-per-view of all time? Your WrestleMania is you sell it on the biggest known storyline you have in the arsenal.
Yeah, man. You know what? That's as good an idea as any. And it would be groundbreaking. I think, to me, it would be very sad to have a 7-day build on the biggest booking in the company's history.
But does it need a huge booking?
Yes,
do we know
you should milk this for every fucking penny you got.
Well, at that point, that ship has fucking sailed, because if there's people that want this at All In or All Out, that ship for a build on this has fucking sailed.
Yeah, no, that's the only unfortunate
at a Full Gear, at a Revolution.
Yeah, I think your idea is fucking outstanding. I think it's spot on as far as what you could hope for. But I think that would be my only disappointment, is missing that. It's such a money matchup. Everybody who's anybody will be tuning in. Even people that don't watch AEW want to see what's happening here.
But that's how you get them, because that's the thing. What else do you do that could salvage or could justify throwing another $50 to watch pay-per-view a week after you just watch what is supposed to be, what has been built up for months at this point? Their biggest show of all time is breaking ticket sales on every level. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. You're going to have fear of missing out. If you don't watch this, you're not going to know what's going on in pro wrestling. And then you follow that up the next week and asking for another $50.
Right.
And you have a week to build it. So if there's a match that you can wedge into in a week, that's the match. That's where you go.
Yep. Yeah, no, you're not wrong at all. As far as quick time of like, shit, what's happening? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong at all, because that is going to be one of Tony's challenges. And you and I have talked about this a lot, about Tony put himself in a challenging spot where he's got to build 2 major shows back to back. And one of them's one of the biggest wrestling shows in the history of wrestling.
Is it one of the biggest tropes right now in professional wrestling of booking yourself into an unnecessary corner?
Yep.
It's happened. Now we just saw it with Jimmy Uso turning on Jay. We've now seen it with having one pay-per-view a week after another pay-per-view, both major pay-per-views, because you run limited pay-per-views.
Yeah, you consistently been in jams. And I mean, again, I think it just ties back to a little bit of the inexperience, but I do think Tony gets himself in trouble because...
Well, I'm saying both companies. I'm saying they both do it lately, to where they just book themselves into corners that they don't need to. Like we said, with coming out of SummerSlam, they had 18 million options they could have done, and they chose the wrong one.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And now you're like, where do they go with this? We will find out tomorrow night, folks. We will be here live, and I know this chat is booming, so we will try and get to some of your comments. It gets trickier. It's funny. We always laugh about Thursdays, but without the commercial breaks, things just keep going. So we don't have those stop gaps to. But Jody Threat coming out to take on Eddie Edwards' wife, who's still here.
Yeah, Alicia Edwards.
Alicia Edwards.
I feel like, all right. So here, instead of sending the chat, you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw reported that they got 441K viewers on Collision against SummerSlam. Yeah, they lost about 300,000, James, and we knew that was going to happen. You knew that the peripheral fans that tune in on a Saturday night because that's your best wrestling option would most likely end up watching SummerSlam, and sure enough, yeah, they went down in a huge dip. I mean, I'm sure a good amount of people went and sought it out, but they knew they were going to do that. They just got to keep putting on consistent shows. And in my humble opinion, they have put on consistent shows since since Saturday night's kicked off with Collision. I have no problem. I mean, what are you going to do? You're up against the Giant. It's SummerSlam. You're going to see a dent. Always gets buried. Lish always gets buried. I think WWE doesn't want to let the bloodline go. The best story they've had in years, making them tons of money. They might not have a good story after to replace it yet. Richard, I think you're accurate. I really do. And that becomes the biggest question. And for the fans out there, especially the ones that really dislike the bloodline, really don't like Roman Reigns as champion, can't find any positives in this run, even though they're, to me, it's a little bit ignorant not to see how successful it's been. Is what do you do next? If Roman loses the belt and steps away, can Cody carry SmackDown? Assuming he ends up on SmackDown. I would imagine that's how they do it. But can Cody carry the show? Will Cody have a storyline or an angle or an adversary strong enough to crack the 3 million rating, to be up, 2.5 million plus week in and week out? What are you going to do? Where do you go? Who's next behind them? That's the tough one. OC goes one-on-one versus Johnny TV tomorrow night on Rampage, and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage. Johnny TV and OC, yeah, there we go. Darby Allin versus Brian Cage makes no sense. None. But Darby Allin just got announced that he's in a rivalry and going to face off against Swerve. I really don't think he should be going up against giant Brian Cage, in an unnecessary match. I don't see the need for it, but hey, we will be here live for it. My best guess was that the Fatal 4-Way was to get Saraya on the card, despite not wrestling for a while and not having much momentum to go for the title. Richard, again, man, I think you've banged out a couple comments that I completely agree with, sir. I think you set up a Fatal 4-Way, and not only is she in the match, she might win it. There's a good chance that she wins it. And that's the craziest part. And again, it will hide the fact that she's not who she was. And again, it's no offense to her, but she had serious injuries, and there's still apprehension as far as how healthy she really is. But when you are off for that long, your lifestyle is different. You're not doing the things you normally do. You're not taking the reps. You're not taking the bumps. You're not in the gym as much. That you're just not the same. Now, could she work her ass off and really do everything she can to kind of prove me and everyone else wrong? Yes, absolutely. Huge Paige fan. And I heard her tweet something about, like, I love when people say they were a Paige fan, but they don't like me as Saraya. And there's a validity to that argument. It's not because of AEW versus WWE. It's in WWE as Paige, you were a badass. And then you went over and became Saraya, and it didn't go so well. Different booking, different highlighting, different marketing and promotion behind you, different brain power supporting. Wow. Eddie Edwards taking out Jody Threat with a kendo stick. Oh, here's Frankie. So the rivalry between Frankie Kazarian and Eddie Edwards continues. Luna and I always joke, it's like one of the most boring rivalries in all of wrestling, and it just won't go away. No offense, but I love Eddie Edwards. I like Frankie Kazarian as a talent, as a veteran guy. But man, I mean, them as rivals, them as a tag team, it's been bland as shit. And Jody Threat steals the win. Canadian security guard versus Darby Allin. That kick to the head. After that kick to the head, yeah, there you go. KJ, shouldn't it have been Darby and Wayne versus Swerve and Fox? Yeah, ideally, if you want to get the Sting pop, I would give Sting his own entrance. Bring out the two young talent, have them walk down the ramp halfway, lights out, Sting music. It's Sting! The Wembley goes fucking nuts, and then Sting stands at the ringside. And again, with Swerve and Fox being tied into the embassy, if you want to have Sting put Nana through a table. Oh, Kazarian just took out. Oh no. You deserve it. The crowd chants as Miss Edwards gets taken out by Frankie Kazarian. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we got trouble. And the crowd chanting she deserves it as she's laying there pancaked. Woo. Gotta love the Impact crowd. Darby will beat Cage. Yeah. And I mean, what does that do for Cage? Here's this giant gorilla of a man, and he's going to lose to a guy that he probably has 280 pounds on. It's not good for Cage. So, yeah, Kazarian. And Alicia Edwards takes the kendo stick in the head. Down and out. Swing Manzigi. What's up, Aaron, if I haven't said hello yet? How you doing? How you doing? Robert, how you doing? Well, Cody would have matched up against Gunther as an opponent he's reluctant to face. Yeah, no. The only thing with that is even this where they were kind of flirting with it on Monday about Cody kind of playing with the idea of being involved with Seth. Same thing with Gunther. I mean, I don't know if Cody needs an IC title run right now. I don't know how you would splice that, like how they would play it out. But yeah, I don't think in time, I think Gunther going after a world title makes complete sense at some point. He's been outstanding. But here comes Mike Bailey, the busiest man in wrestling. Another Canadian. Little zesty at the end there. Don't know what you're talking about. That haircut is not good for Cage. The haircut, the face paint is kind of crazy. How dare you, right? Right? Canadian bacon or American bacon? Bacon. Bacon. I just like bacon. To be honest, I prefer bacon strips over like what we either call back bacon, Canadian bacon, female bacon. It's good, but a good old strip of fucking bacon. Now you're gonna make me hungry, J-Boy Shop. Keep Cody away from Gunther. Yeah, no, you can't unless you have a plan there. Again, you got to be very careful with how you book Cody. And I think Cody, given his big long-winded promos against Gunther, might turn people on Cody for Gunther. But here comes Mr. X, Kushida. Speaking of Mr. X.
Well, speaking of long-winded.
Right? KJ, you might disagree with me. Never, JV. I've never disagreed with you. But I think the way they have booked Gunther, the crowd is going to turn him face. That's what I was just kind of saying. Yeah, you run that gambit.
Well, I caught the tail end of what you were talking about there. I think once and when he drops the IC title, he skyrockets towards going towards the main title.
Yeah, I think so too. No matter who it is. And again, if we showed up one week and it was, opening the show, your new heavyweight champion, Gunther, whatever belt he has, I'm all for it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it's a real possibility we could get Gunther versus Damian Priest for the world heavyweight title.
Yeah. Sign me up. I'd happily pay for that one.
Right.
But we got Kushida taking on Speedball Mike Bailey, and we will be here for the Multiverse of Matches United 2 as Impact takes on New Japan or works with New Japan. It'll be a fun one in a couple weeks. We got a busy August, guys, and in busy September as well. So strap in, strap on, and I'll be right back.
Fair enough. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. If it's a day that ends in Y and there's wrestling to talk about, we're going to be here in some form or fashion here. Anthony, what up? Speaking of which, Speedball. Well, listen, we're not talking about Tony Khan up here, allegedly. So we'll let that wait. We definitely need Gunther as a heel. I think he's done fantastic as a heel. It's going to be really interesting because, well, think about it. You could have said the exact same thing with Roman Reigns. You could have said miles ahead the same thing with MJF. And I know I'm talking guys really got on the mic to guys learning the mic, but you could see to where there could be a natural turn to where people just kind of get behind him. Ham bacon, what? Oh yeah, this is going back to Eggs Benedict is goated. Debatable, questionable. Maybe that's what we'll have to do at some point with the next brunch with the boys, which I think will be all in, by the way. That'll be brunch with the boys number 6, by the way. Yeah, no, I heard KJ's whole conversation about American bacon versus Canadian bacon. Well, only one of those is actually bacon, the other one's ham. But yeah, American bacon all the way, even though I won't lie, I dabble in the turkey bacon every now and then because, you know, you've always got to make sure the ticker's doing good, especially with all these Elizabeth moments out here. Yeah, there is only one bacon, and it is American bacon. It is the superior bacon. What are your thoughts about AEW Dynamite competing with NXT October 7th on a Tuesday night? I did not know that. Damon, you always got, you know, looking way down the pipeline here. I didn't know that they're going head to head. I think that's going to be really interesting and really telling, but they've still got, at this point, 2-3 months before that happens. And as we've seen in the world of pro wrestling, you can give it a couple weeks and the entire landscape shifts. So I can never see Gunther as a face. His whole career is that he is a traditional wrestler who is better than everyone. He should always be looking down on his opponent. Valid point. But I think sometimes it's, you know, like I said, you look at a guy like Roman, you look at a guy like MJF a bit, you look at a guy especially like LA Knight, to where you kind of just, you naturally at times get this groundswell. You could even go back to Rusev Day. Rusev Day was supposed to be a heel tag team, but you just start to kind of naturally get this groundswell and real recognize real, and you 100% understand and see the talent that Gunther has. Brock Lesnar is a great example. The man who should have, no one would have ever guessed that man would have worked as a babyface. And I think, honestly, that man is halfway transitioning to come back as a babyface if he does come back, because he had a ball being Cowboy Brock, the babyface from Saskatchewan, out there trying to get, you know, Sami Zayn to go hunting and fishing with him. So that's a prime example. Thank you, JV, because that's a fantastic example of somebody who you couldn't believe could go babyface, but goes babyface. Nick, what do you want to play out with this whole storyline with Bobby Lashley building a stable with the Street Profits and maybe Trick Williams? I don't think it's just with Trick. I think it's obviously, with Carmelo and Trick as well. Like I've said, when we're here for NXT, to me, I think that's why Trick's not fully breaking away from Carmelo, but more wants to just establish himself as a solo act, because if it's going to be a faction like that to where every member's got to kind of hold their own weight, it works with Trick being more established as a solo act instead of Carmelo's buddy. So I think that's why they're doing with that. I've seen people mention that, well, we could still get, maybe they get paired up with MVP and Omos and we get kind of a conflicting faction issue here, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. I'm just really excited that they're actually going to that there's already a plan for the main roster potentially for a guy like a Carmelo, a guy like a Trick, and it refreshes the Street Profits. It gives a plan behind Bobby Lashley. No one here loses out, and as long as they do it right and do it correctly and actually put some momentum, which it seems they are behind these guys, it works perfectly to me. Everything is storyline. You're Richard. No one ever say Nikita Koloff as a face either. No one saw Nikita Koloff. Got you. Gunther can indeed work as a face. It has to be the right circumstance. Well, that's with anything and everything. again, like how I was mentioning MGF, could you really see him being a babyface if it wasn't for this, lucked into fantastic situation with Adam Cole? I wouldn't consider Brock Lesnar a babyface. Truly, I think he is a tweener. Well, come see, come saw, but he was also, especially when he came back as Cowboy Brock, and he's out there flipping rings with tractors. He is 100% to me a babyface. Either way, however it is, it's not in any way what you would imagine what we would get with a Brock Lesnar character or Brock Lesnar being on our screen. He's normally the guy that just shows up, wrecks shit, and leaves. Big Dog, thank you very much the super chat. The super chat is for my mom. Today is her birthday. She is 75 today. Happy birthday, Mom. Well, absolutely 100%. Happy birthday to Mrs. Dog. I don't know how exactly you want me to address her, but I'll say Mrs. Dog, but happy birthday. And again, thank you very much, Big Dog, for the super chat. And like we've said, folks, if you want to make sure that you stand up, you show out, because that's what the show is about. If you want to just help support the channel, because anything and everything that you guys send our way goes back into, more for this, more towards the merch store, more so we can add for this, more so we can try and do this, stuff like that. So 100%, everything that you guys send our way goes right back into the channel so we can just put on a better show for you guys. But appreciate it, my guy. If they bring in Trick and Carmelo, Bobby really does not have to do the talking. They can be the mouthpiece of the group. 100%. Well, think about it initially, I want to say with the bloodline of Roman didn't do a ton of talking. It was really Heyman and it was really Jay, especially once we got the right-hand man, once we solidified that. And now if you've got the Street Profits who can talk, you've got Trick who has been very much a credit to him of he can talk really well on the microphone outside of what he can do in the ring. Carmelo obviously can talk on the mic. So I think that really helps kind of aid Bobby without needing an MVP, of needing a specific manager, of they can all kind of have their moments. You can build to a couple lines here or there, some badass moments there for Bobby. Aaron says, I suspect Gresham is going to play a factor here somehow. Fair enough, which by the way, I guess that reminds me that we do still have Kushida versus Mike Bailey going on, as I've got Mike Bailey getting dumped onto the outside. So if you haven't done so already, give your predictions in this match as springboard moonsault out of Kushida missed the dive, and then instantly Mike Bailey goes to a springboard moonsault on the entrance ramp. Excuse me. Thank you, J-Boy. Jacob Fatu returns to GCW tomorrow night. Well, we'll see. We're going to be here already we got the fallout from SummerSlam. We got to figure out what's going on with the Usos. And plus, we got to hail to the Chief for the Tribal Chief. Happy birthday. Everybody's showing love to Mama Dog. Pause. WWE men's and women's tag titles are cursed. No, just the women's. WWE has a lot of wrestlers out with injuries. Hard telling what WWE will do right now. True, but they normally tend to do well when their back is pushed up against the wall, and this is still where you can build challengers to this. You can, I know Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are huge, but think about how much they've been on TV lately. You can kind of maybe do with them taking a half a bit of a break, and you give some room for some other people to grow up and kind of really, establish themselves as contenders. And the women's tag division is just, at this point, it's legitimately cursed. I don't know if I really want to go with the whole, Matt Cardona, admitting that he's still a free agent and he'll willingly become, his wife's women's tag team partner. I mean, be a hell of a way to get heat on Matt Cardona, but I don't see it lasting or see it flying. But I think those belts are cursed more than anything. Everybody that has had those belts has either left the company or has gotten injured pretty much quickly after they've won them. The only outliers I would say are Katana Chance. No, well, that's still NXT. The NXT one just inherited the curse from the main roster one. As Bailey with an armbar on Kushida right now. Kushida for the win. I understand AJ Styles is working for WWE now, Nick. But when do you think Impact Wrestling induction into the Hall of Fame? Because if it wasn't for him, the X Division wouldn't be well known. Oh, 100% of him, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels. There's a whole list of people that go into that Impact Hall of Fame. And I don't think that we've already seen Mickey James, show up and be involved in the Women's Royal Rumble. I think the halfway partnership is Kushida breaks up the armbar again with getting his foot on the bottom rope. That working partnership exists. So I don't think that they would ever block him from doing that. And they could still, I think they would be, especially with Triple H at the helm, they would acknowledge that he's a multi-company Hall of Famer type deal. They would mention that, I feel a bit. I've read rumors of a heel Aaliyah might be Green's partner. Well, be the only thing Aaliyah's done in what, almost a year, 2 years, maybe. Again, she's out there with Shanky, just lost in the abyss of, are they actually going to ever show up? Are they actually going to do anything of relevancy here? Does Aaliyah need to go down to NXT like, her buddy there, Dana Brooke? I think WWE should use this chance to create a women's mid-card title. Thank you, Richard. I've been screaming this lately. And give the NXT the women's title back. No more tag belts for the women. No offense. No, I know we've been on this whole book the women's division better. The women's tag division has done nothing more than the singles women's titles has hurt the tag division or has hurt the women's division because there is no tag division.
Speaking of hurting the women's
division. Of tag teams, what?
Said speaking of hurting the women's division.
Oh, pause.
One at a time.
You said that.
Timing is everything, folks. Not to interrupt, but this match is really, really decent. Kushida and Mike Bailey laying it out there. I mean, Mike Bailey's been a little flat for a while and then tied up with Gresham. It hasn't been great, but Kushida's been outstanding. I mean, we wanted to see more from him in WWE NXT, and we didn't get it, but this is good.
Could you imagine, though, right now, if we were getting like Wesley versus Kushida for like the NXT title?
Yeah, I'd be all for that.
Please. Or he's involved in the Heritage Cup.
Right.
Like a superplex, but still holding in the Kimura throughout it. Well, pretending you have the Kimura locked in.
And there you go. Mr. X.
Oh. Small package driver for the 1, 2, 3. I told you, Kushida, shave those sideburns.
AJ Styles, Impact Wrestling, my favorite important moments. Fair enough.
Well, no, because while you were on your pause, people were asking about like AJ or so-and-so being, I guess, loaned to Impact, say if they got inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think in 2023, 2024, moving forward, that you do have that opportunity, Nick, to be okay with that happening. I think AJ, if he was to be acknowledged, I mean, Impact's always been open with openly talking about where people are and what they're doing. I mean, you even look at some of the other talent that from Impact that's been scattered throughout the industry. I think it would work out. I think if they wanted it, they'd do it and they'd acknowledge that, his history. Hey,
right.
What are the odds the week that Luna Havoc's not here? Crazy Steve has a sit down.
Like I said, Luna's breaking everything in her apartment right now that she's not here talking about Crazy Steve.
Another Canadian. Remember,
I did not know he was Canadian.
And I put Luna onto the fact that legally blind.
Interesting.
And I mean, a good talent. I almost wondered if he dropped the face paint and kind of gave him more moments like he's getting right now. Could he do more?
Interesting. Well, reinvent himself really, like I guess how kind of like Macklin did. Went from the Forgotten Sons to the star of Impact Wrestling.
Yep. Yeah, until he hit injury. So
right.
We look forward to him coming back. It will be I mean, now that Josh is back, the fact that Macklin will be back eventually, and those two will have a face-off, which we never did get. We'll see.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This is an Impact Wrestling question. What is your favorite and greatest Ultimate X match, KJ and Nick?
Woo! Man.
That's a tough ass question.
It is, and everyone goes to that Elix Skipper moment.
I was going to say, that's my moment. I don't
That's
care if
your
it was
moment.
even an X Division match. That's my, when you think of the X Division, that's your moment right there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've had a lot over the years that really stood out in that division.
Super Max there, Hernandez sitting there trying to crawl and grab the Ultimate X, as you know, the ropes look like they're barely holding on.
Oh man, I mean, again, I think that's one of the disappointing things of Slammiversary this year was Ultimate X wasn't something to remember.
They've been, Impact has always been the one that has managed to get a kind of, I guess, a light heavyweight, a cruiserweight, a junior heavyweight division right all the time. Ever since that X division has started, it has been the best thing, the can't miss thing when it comes to Impact. It's been what they've been known for outside of, you know, the six-sided ring.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, and we've seen so many great talents go through there. I remember the early days of guys like P.D. Williams, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels was another one that was big for the X division. And then it just continued. I mean, even to see guys like Moose was an X division champion, Josh Alexander was an X division champion.
Right. Based on just watching this week's Raw, I think Priest gets kicked out of JD. And Madonna takes his place.
Richard came to my side.
No.
I still think it's possible.
I think no.
No?
I think he's going to be there for when Finn kind of goes, I don't know if he goes babyface, but he breaks away.
I think that it's Finn that kind of gets a babyface turn out of this. And
yeah, I think he breaks away with JD.
No, yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. I felt from day one that somehow they were going to screw Damien out of this. They were going to blame Damien.
He's been too involved with, like, he's been like the right-hand person right behind, like, Reed and everything of like trying to kind of rally the troops when it comes to being Judgment Day.
And even that, like, it's generally Rhea goes up to Damien and tells him to calm down, or like she tends to him opposed to, Finn tends to be the one walking off. So yeah, what I do like, and I've said this before, guys, is that we don't know. Like, there literally is a couple options here. I don't know why WWE fired Tom Phillips. He's pretty good at his job. He's good. He really is.
Oh, absolutely. Well, him and Matthew Reinhold.
Yeah. Reinhold's been outstanding. And a highly talented guy. I don't know what his physical status is as far as can he go, or has he just chosen not to?
No, last I saw he was doing a run where him and Gotch were coming back as the vaudevillains for kind of a mini run there. So I think he can still go. I think it's just literally the man has a million and one things going on. The man has really, he's got a whiskey channel. He's a personality beyond just pro wrestling, which is what you like to see with your pro wrestlers, to where they can expand just past once they're in the ring. That's it. They're done. Yep. Leave the memories alone.
Yeah, no, Steve. Steve. Crazy Steve just gave a really good talk about how basically he's lost, his entire group. Like, Decay is kind of dissolved, and it was heartfelt. But I believe in Joe Hendry.
I was like, what in the name of the sauna shit are we getting right now?
I don't even know who these people are.
But yeah, well, that could lead to where, like you were talking about, to where maybe we get more of this man's wearing a satin shirt inside of a sauna. There's too many S's and there's too many terrible fabrics going on here. But that we could see, though, if that's the case, to where we get Crazy Steve that kind of peels back the face paint and kind of becomes more of an actual human being,
and an outstanding guy. Speaking of that X division, an outstanding guy to be a big part of it. And One of my favorite matches of 2023 was Crazy Steve and why do I feel like it's Rich Swann? But I might be wrong. Somebody in the chat's going to correct me. But
Fair
they
enough.
tore it down in oh no, it was Trey Miguel in the Monsters Ball. Outstanding match. So Ui Umura now gets a sing along too. So say his name and he appears. He's Umura.
No.
Oh
Jump
shit.
the shark. Legally blind doesn't mean blind. It just means you need thick glasses. No. Legally blind, Aaron, is where your vision is blurry no matter what. It's in both eyes. I had that once. That's when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetic.
Oh shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, he can obviously see enough to get around. Like he's not using a walking stick in the ring, guys. But at the end of the day, he everything's blurry. He doesn't.
It's when you go to the DMV and they declare you that you are your vision is impaired enough that you are technically legally blind.
Yeah, you need a DD.
Yeah, that's the difference between legally and fully.
What is this? All right.
I don't know. I've got tub step going right now. Hard. We're gonna need a montage.
Is Ryback in Impact Wrestling or MLW? Ryback is nowhere because
in
Ryback,
his mind.
Yeah, Ryback can't wrestle. And if Ryback wants to prove that he is all
that's going to be the co-main event of Wembley is Ryback versus Goldberg.
Yeah. No, and I think the reason why he does what he does is even if Goldberg was to accept Ryback's challenge, Ryback would find a reason to get out of it because I do not believe Ryback can get in the ring. And if Ryback could, take, a few bucks and show up at one of these indie shows or show up at MLW or show up at Impact for a month and remind people you can wrestle. Because right now you're just talking out of your ass, and I don't believe he has it. And like we said, we've challenged this man to come on this show plenty of times, and he is ignoring us.
Right. As we're teasing for Impact 1000, the reunion of Team 3D, we've got Khan versus Eric Young, Sammy and Callahan versus the Rascals. But yeah, it's one of those. It's so weird because on one hand, I would watch if we had Goldberg versus Ryback. I watched Ric Flair's last match. Wee woo. I would still watch that match. But like you said, if you really wanted to show you still wanted to be in the pro wrestling business and you still wanted to actually get booked and still wanted to show that it really was the WWE system that kept you down, you would still at least maybe take a booking here or there. I understand, maybe the money doesn't line up or whatever, but still, if you're doing a spot show here or there, there's been plenty of guys that have shown that system can work.
Yeah. If you're as good as you say you are, go do what Matt Cardona did. Make yourself tons of money doing your own thing instead of bitching and complaining how apparently the entire world.
That's really the thing. That's a really good point. I think that a lot of people really miss is that somebody that got shit on probably just as much, if not almost more, theoretically, was Matt Cardona from the WWE system.
Yeah,
and he's made his entire career. You now know Matt Cardona more than you do Zack Ryder.
100%.
Right. And Ryback's just gone Ultimate Warrior with this instead.
That's a great fucking analogy. He's totally gone Ultimate Warrior with this. And again,
I've thought that since the minute that man changed his name from Ryan Reeves or Skip Sheffield or whatever fucking name he wanted to go by to Ryback.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, at the end of the day, I mean, I think if the guy could go, he would go and prove us wrong. Show up somewhere and give us a match. And then we go, oh shit, Ryback can go. But it's all words. It's all like, again,
that's your ultimate lay down the challenge of saying, hey, Bill, look at what I can still do in my condition and everything. You still were just not that far removed from a WWE premium live event. So let's go.
But here comes out Brian Myers and Moose. Again, I say it almost every week. One of my favorite entrances in wrestling, Moose. And
I thought you were about to say Brian Myers out here looking like Reptile.
He's always kind of got that vibe going on. Don't say the R word.
I got him mixed up almost for half a second with Heath Slater and said he has kids, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, Team 3D back for Impact 1000. Impact 1000 should be a fun show.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think it would be more entertaining than AW 200. They have more just outlandish shit I feel to pull from.
Yeah, we'll find out. I think there's gonna be a lot of like surprises and fun stuff, and again, there'll be a lot of nostalgia in there. But I mean, 1,000. Geez, a lot of people didn't think they'd make it to 100. Here they are at 1,000.
This has been the company that for the longest time has managed to survive on life support. If there is a definition of don't quit, can't stop, it is Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
That's your motivation to chase your dream. Is Impact is still going in 2023.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have used Impact to build their name, build their notoriety, refine themselves. And I think you touched on a guy like Steve Macklin, who was all but forgotten, and goes to Impact, new look, new attitude, and finds himself. Now, I think Steve Macklin would be wicked on one of the major 2 shows as a heel, as a top guy, as a guy that could be pushed.
Could you see Steve Macklin versus Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's where that would line up better than him versus Roman.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'd give you that. Better matchup.
Well, another example like you've talked about is Trinity. This might be just more, refresher tour instead of, I'm here for the law.
Yeah. Bully Ray sucks. No, come on. Be nice to Bully. I like Bully.
Me and Bully have had a checkered history here of he hates the what chick, which I take umbrage with. But at the same time, he really has I agree with a lot of his mind or his view when it comes to, I guess, pro wrestling and what really makes pro wrestling. So I can't really knock him. And I'm still sad we never got a Bully Ray run in WWE.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you turn the clock back maybe half a decade, you really could have done something there. I don't know if you could do it now, but I mean, even Bully Ray coming in as a manager of a up and coming tag team would work for me. He's still one of the best on the mic in the business.
Bully Ray and American Badass Undertaker as a tag team.
Right? There you go. I like it.
Tell me that shit doesn't kind of halfway kind of fit.
There we go.
It might be putting a square peg into a round hole, but
right. We got Taurus, Laredo Kid, and Leo Rush is beating up Samurai del Sol, so it doesn't look like he'll be joining this main event tonight.
Well, and isn't Leo Rush injured too?
I don't know. We never know with Leo, but apparently there are some reports out there that he hurt himself, which again, I mean, dude, no offense, but at 135 pounds, maybe you're just not durable for high impact.
Leo Rush is just an enigma when it comes to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
This guy has had the world by the huevos as one of the top kind of smaller guys that can actually really go and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's been this back and forth of retirement, of he's been a manager, he's gotten lost in 205 Live, he's in and out of being hurt, he's retired and unretired more than I think Terry Funk, Mick Foley, and Ric Flair combined.
I don't see Finn turning face, Richard. I don't see what that would accomplish, but I can see Damian turning face and drawing out a good line of stories he can work. Yeah, I mean, but then, so if Finn is the guy that leaves with JD, then would that not, I'd assume that he'd be the face out of, and Judgment Day would remain the heels.
Well, that's what I think happens.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel on it. I think that Finn's the one that gets broken off here. Or we get this weird divide that, like we've seen with the Bullet Club, etc., to where we get JD and Finn, the Irish connection, versus kind of just Dom, Rhea, and Damon, because they've worked as a cohesive unit. Finn's always seemed lately like the chaperone that's showing up to make sure everybody, behaves themselves.
Right. Team AAA, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, I still think there's a possibility. My initial gut reaction,
2 against 3, so the odds are not ever in your favor, Katniss Everdeen.
Yeah, it's now become a handicap match, which is very interesting. And we have an 8-man tag match coming up at Resurgence, where Bully, Leo Rush, Brian Myers, Moose will take on Josh Alexander and Time Shifters.
Time
Thank God I didn't
Splitters.
have Time Splitters.
I was gonna say, and it's at Emergence, not Resurgence.
Emergence.
There we go. You said Resurgence.
I think it's okay. There you go.
I know where you got there.
Yeah, Emergence. I'll take your word for it. I don't listen to
me. Ooh, kind of like NWO Black and White and versus NWO Wolfpack with the Judgment Day. No bad.
Maybe interesting.
I think it's very interesting that the Judgment Day is the poster for Payback, which, by the way, that is a clean ass poster. Like that's going back to when WWE did premium live events. As I'm out here like Porky the Pig, premium live event posters really well. I would want that.
Right.
But the Judgment Day is the entire poster for Payback.
At this moment, yes. Yeah, you're right. It's really good. But I'm such a big fan, and whether it makes me a mark or not, the graphics and the design that WWE can put behind their shit has always been really strong. Somebody said Bully Ray as, where was it? Bully Ray as Jack Perry's mouthpiece.
Oh, that's not well. Did you see Taz's response to people trying to say that, well, since Jack Perry beat RVD, that now it's going to be Jack Perry versus Taz? He's like, no, I'm happily retired. No, thank you.
Yeah, I think Taz is smart enough to be like, you put me in there with Jack Perry, I'm just going to look like shit.
I'm going to look like a fucking butterball turkey getting fucking smashed around.
Right. I look like Mini Otis over here.
Right. I think it could still be him versus Jerry Lynn.
Did you find it funny that you wore the Jerry Lynn pants?
Jerry Lynn. I still think we get that
Jerry
match. I don't think so. I hold out hope he can still go.
I don't know.
Jerry Lynn deserves his goddamn flowers.
You think so?
He was one of those workhorse guys of ECW. When everyone thinks of it was just hardcore blood, guts, and gore. He was a fucking workhorse in that company.
Right. Speaking of gore, Taurus is going blow for blow with Bully. But yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I think it's funny. I lost my thought.
No, you're good. You're good. Big Dog out here saying, Porky the Picnic. Here we go with the bacon again, folks. But pause the sugar honey iced tea out of that.
Quickly, for the record, back bacon is not ham. It's close, but it's way better.
We don't get back bacon really unless you go to like a Whole Foods or you go searching for that in the US. We get bacon, or we get what is called Canadian bacon, which just literally looks like ham.
No, our Canadian bacon is not ham. There's a variable difference. But bacon is bacon, man. I have a sign that says I love you more than bacon, because that
fair
means
enough, fair enough. I was gonna say, well, I'm more used to like I'm big into more of the wild game stuff and everything. So
turkey bacon. I like venison bacon.
Well, I haven't had that.
No,
I've had more to where you'll mix regular bacon in with venison to make a burger because of the fat content.
Yeah.
But no, I mostly will have like venison sausage or anything like that. Now we're just going on all the topics.
Yeah. Happy Thursday.
Thursday. Why?
What do you think about WWE having the Miz versus LA Knight at Payback and Nakamura versus Seth Rollins for WWE Championship? I like both. I was happy. I'm okay with both.
I think we nailed it on the head when we were talking about on Monday Night Raw when we had the segment between the Miz and LA Knight. This was LA Knight really getting to let out a lot of shit that he's really needed to, and really establish himself amongst the people. And Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. I'm still taking Seth Rollins for it, but I think it's going to be a fucking fantastic match.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on with both. I think if you're trying to build, it's almost like a rite of passage. Okay, we're going to push you as a babyface. You got to go through the Miz. And everybody does it.
If it's not the Miz, it's Ziggler, but he's on standby right now.
Right.
And now, if you were a heel, it would have been Kofi and probably somebody else, but you're a babyface now, so you got to go here.
Dun, dun, dun. I'll see how Bully's team operates. Yeah, I mean, very interesting dynamic between Bully, randomly Bully, Brian Myers. Brian Myers and Moose have been hanging out for quite a while. Not sure.
It's all the heels. It's 3 heels.
Yeah, and then you got Leo Rush as the fourth man in this little come together. So we'll see how it goes.
Right now, over me. But is Leo Rush more tied to them, or is he more just he has an issue with Selena Del Sol there?
I don't know why he beat up. No, he's more like, I think he just beat up Samurai Del Sol, Selena Del Sol, because just to help out his friends, because he was in that 8-man tag coming up at the pay-per-view.
Right.
Randomly, trust me.
Fair enough.
This one.
Wait, what?
Breaking news: Triple H is no longer on the board of directors in the WWE. Yes, so as part of the merge, there's only so many seats, the board of directors. Triple H will still be an executive of WWE, but he's not a part of the board anymore.
So who the fuck's on the board?
Well, I'll be like Ari Emanuel, Vince McMahon, and a bunch of money people that like them and hang around with them. I don't believe
what
Dana.
The fuck?
I don't believe Dana White's on the board.
Is Nick Khan on the board?
Probably.
I feel like I'm fucking Steve Harvey now. It's like, show me Nick Khan. Show me Stephanie McMahon.
I'm pretty sure Nick Khan will be on the board. I do not. I don't think Dana White's on like the UFC side of things, right? He's just the president and runs things, and I think that's kind of how Triple H slots in here. Is he won't
so
be?
Hunter is the Dana White of WWE.
I would take it like that. Yes, technically that's Vince, but Vince currently
don't put that evil out there.
Yeah, right now that's the way it's designed. Yes. So, I mean, ultimately, the decision-making power is at the board level, so that will be an intriguing part of this merger.
That's so interesting. I don't know how I feel. If I feel like I would kind of want Hunter there, right? But it's one of those of, do you need to have him add that on top of it? If he's already in charge of creative, he's had his spell, I guess is the best way to put it before. Do you really want to add that? Maybe this is, he wants to stay here and just really show his worth, and then when the old man kicks the bucket, he can slide up there.
Yeah,
this is such, and I've said this for the longer time, and it's still
lights out. Bully was, we got lightning. PCO.
It's Sting.
No, it's better. PCO.
It's the Maple Leaf Monster. PCO.
Back from the dead. I'm guessing.
Hell. That's all I have.
Yeah, he's back. He's back.
Well, the crowd's chanting PCO. The Canadian Frankenstein rises again.
Changed up his look a little bit here.
Bro, he's looking more and more like a Hollywood Universal fucking Frankenstein cosplayer. He's got the green paint now on the face and everything.
Myers eating a fist going. Moose already gone. And he wants Bully bad. Remember, I mean, the last time we saw PCO, he was set on fire. Yeah, Bully running. Oh, cannonball! I love this guy. I absolutely love this guy.
He's insane. Like, he's the fucking Brett Favre of pro wrestling, of the man who just won't quit.
Right?
Man keeps licking and keeps on ticking.
And I mean, on Impact, he's been killed several times. We had Vincent.
Rise from the grave like the Undertaker.
Oh, frog splash on Myers. The ref wakes up in time. Shut up.
Oh! Duh.
Oh! Those.
All
right, the show ended off with a little bit of a bang.
Two count.
Torres begging for the tag. the former
So
leader
we
of.
were just going on about Triple H and him being on the board and
Yes.
Dana Brooke and all that. Now I forgot where I was going with that.
Oh,
Anyways,
wow. There you go. Sorry, Myers gets the win. Yeah, I mean,
fine.
a lot's going to change, and we talked about redundancies and people being let go, and we're seeing differences in like different access to different types of sponsorship. You may have more ability to become less PG as you move forward because
Mhm.
of who you're aligned with. But I mean, operationally, I know a lot of people inflate these stories and make them like, oh my God. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything internally actually changes. Right? I don't even think Triple H on the WWE board now. Like, yeah, he was. They're pushing him out.
Yes,
But how
because
involved
they're shrinking the board
a
because it
whole
was
bunch of
merger.
financial people, right? Like, I mean, it's weird.
And well, that's the thing that's the biggest thing, the weirdest thing with this as Bully Ray's still running, and you never run down
Where
the
did they shoot this
multicolored
show?
LED hallway here.
So there was a random person parked out back, and Bully just carjacked them. Ah, PCO
Bully's
found them.
out here playing GTA 6 right now.
Yeah. PCO is back. And that's how we're going to go off the air. So we already have an 8-man tag booked, and PCO would be the 9th man who's very, invested in the whole
Or do we
circle
get a singles match between those two?
at some point, but I don't know how I mean, it would have to be post pay-per-view, I'd assume.
Fair enough. And it's just so funny because literally my feed just
Screw
stopped
froze.
on this up close picture of PCO. Just, what are you doing in my swamp? Is what he said.
KJ and Nick, your thoughts on Sarah Del Rey and Sarah Stock in charge of AEW's women division? Is that fact?
Who?
In the Rudy Blue Hell.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have any opinion. If that's facts and it's completely done, great. I hope they do something about it. Again, to me, who's in charge of the division doesn't matter if the booker isn't supporting it.
That's the thing is at the end of the day, that's to me what I've always said of anyone that thinks that, well, they could bring in this person and they could be on a creative committee when it comes to Tony Khan and everything. Cool. Well, at the end of the day, is Tony just going to undercut you and just do still what he wants to do or what he feels is quote unquote in his best interest? And, B, is it really going to help you when you have to go to the boys or whatever? I hate saying that term.
Right.
I've been in the fucking locker room, but sit there and say, oh, well, you can't do this. You guys are only getting 5 minutes here because you got to cut this out because the main event guy, the top guy, MJF here's, saying this and that and everything, and it's going to take away from that. He's not one to ruffle feathers, and he's not going to surround himself with anyone that's going to cause him to ruffle feathers.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it comes down to. I mean, we talk about all this stuff with the women's division. I talked quite a bit about it last night. And ultimately, just like the Bucks and Punk's issues, the Buck stopped with Tony at the end of the day. Pun intended.
Right.
And it comes down to him and his ability. And I believe that Collision is proving that, Nick, that less Tony, more input from other people. We're getting a more consistent, a more streamlined, a less all over the place ADHD.
It shows you the potential is there. It shows you of what they can do and what they honestly at times what they have done. Because still, for anyone that wants to be like, oh, you guys just hate AEW, let's not forget that for the longest time on this channel, Dynamite ran away with being the top rated show, being the best talked about thing on here, and it's really lost its fucking way.
Right? No, you're completely right. I mean, at the end of the day, like I don't know, man. Like I said, as a fan, you and I have watched many hours of Dynamite together with on live streams, and as a fan, you watch a show like last night, and you're like, they've lost the fucking plot. They have no idea what they're doing tonight. And other nights, it's like, oh, they get it, woohoo! So I'm trying. You try.
It's so much it's literally so up and down. It's so hard to gauge. There's no consistency.
Oh, I mean, even watching, I've seen you go through those roller coasters of like, we come out of a pay-per-view, you're wearing your scarf, you're thrilled, you can't wait for Wednesday, and then Wednesday is and you're like,
Right.
why? So I think less Tony. I think if Tony could find a way to step back, maybe chime in with some ideas. Hey, why don't you use this music? I think it would work. I'm not taking away from the guy. I don't have any good ideas. I just think he's inexperienced. And Collision shows me that less Tony is better product.
Is Tony Khan Vince McMahon without the challenge of having to prove his like outdo his father and everything like that? I'm saying in this fact that he's been gifted a national audience,
Yep.
a whole platform. He has more money than God. He can do whatever he wants with anything and everything. He has still, I think, that I know what's best type mindset a bit, or at least it seems that way, like Vince had.
Oh, yeah, in that
but he didn't have to work for it to an extent. Not saying Vince, was out there, Mr. Blue Collar, but still.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense, I think he is without, like, I think for Vince, as much as people bag on him for inheriting the company, essentially, he can't, he spent a lot of years around the business. He was on commentary. He was doing interviews. He, as a kid, he was around I don't think Tony had that. So now Tony's involved with people like a Chris Jericho who seem to be more than willing to just rob this man blind of as much money as possible. And that's what they're doing. Like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you resign if you were the Young Bucks? You could go to the WWE and have an actual job where they put you to work, or you can work once every 5 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the mood suits. You can be in a storyline, you can not be in a storyline, and you're going to get paid a shit ton of money to have a few dates a year.
Would the Young Bucks? I fucked that up really hard. Yeah, pause. Would the Young Bucks come in and win the tag titles in WWE?
No, I don't think so. I think we talked about this a little bit last night. Of a lot of the talent would end up in NXT first, no matter who they think they are. Some exceptions, but I could honestly see them being like, all right, thank you for signing. Enjoy your few months in NXT until you figure out how to do our shit. Till you understand what a real tag looks like and how to hold on to that little rope and how to play with the referee and how to look at the hard cam and how not to just do the same boring
actually act
shit.
like you're on TV.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Nope. If Judgment Day are on the Payback poster, they all must have a match. Who do they all face?
Rhea's got Raquel. Finn's got Finn. I don't know what Finn does. Maybe they do get to some type of point there, but I don't know if Finn will have a match.
Finn and JD versus Dom and Ray, or Dom and Damien. Sorry,
Dom and Ray would be hilarious.
Yeah, you know what I meant though.
Yeah. Yeah. What is on my TV right now? I got Aerostar and Drago. Like, hello.
I don't know. I was starting to look around because I also did on the sideways have the Pats pregame, like I think I mentioned, which by the way, the Houston Texans took the fucking woodshed.
Oh, come on, Aaron. Listen, if it's robbery and PCO's at fault for it, I'm all for it. But I mean, at the end of the day, the heels still pick up the W. So
you want to know what's a robbery? Is you robbing your friends of good wrestling content if you're not telling them about the Wrasslin for Life Network. You are robbing them of the best personalities out there, the most live content when it comes to pro wrestling out there.
It's true. It's true. It's damn true. 6 out of 10 says Vance. I'm going to agree with Vance out of the gate. I'm not going to even hold mine back tonight. 6. It was what it was. I mean, the ending was kind of fun. The Mike Bailey Kushida match was all right. The rest of it was kind of fluffy. So yeah, I'll give it a 6.
I don't know how to rate the shows because I didn't. I think I paid more attention to just hanging out and chatting with everybody instead of the shows. So
not enough happened to make us stop doing that.
What?
And not enough happened on the show to make us stop chatting.
Oh yeah, 100%. Of this was come and chat with the boys. Stream tonight.
Yeah, I remember Sarah Stock for years. She's got a long-standing history of trading. Sarah Del Rey is married to Cesaro, so that fits. And Chris Hero just signed on, so that fits. There is a big, very large nepotism thing going on in AEW. slightly.
What about Serena Deeb?
So we haven't heard shit about Serena.
Exactly.
I don't know what the fuck she's doing.
That's the fucking point. You sign these people, you pay these people to be agents for your women's division, and then half the time they spend their time on camera, a la Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I send Deeb over to Collision.
Collision of Christ. I was about to say, well, if she's gonna just still stay as a trainer and agent and everything, just send her to fucking NXT, send her to the Performance Center. 100%. That could be a trade. If we're gonna do
that could be a trade.
That could be a trade. That could be worked out here.
Yeah. This new GTA update looks great. You can replace Tony Khan with Mark Zuckerberg. No one knows the difference.
Wait, so does that make Vince Elon?
Oh shit. Man, I'm so down to watch Elon and Zuckerberg fight. Let's do it. We will be here live for that.
Bro, that'll be the saddest fight in human history.
Well, I mean, apparently both these guys are in the gym frequently, so it'd be funny as shit.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know.
I don't believe a fuck.
Dana's all for it. Dana's like online.
Yeah, no shit, because it'll draw it'll be the biggest drawing card ever. If you have that, because you're just hoping each one of them gets their face pounded in, and you're gonna sit there for 10 rounds and realize none of them can land a punch.
I just feel like Elon's way bigger. Like he just ground and pound. I don't know.
You would think that, but I feel like he's probably like, we represent the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild.
Tony Khan is a super fan with more money than God, who created his own real life wrestling video game that he controls. Yeah, how many times have we said that? But here's the thing, Nick. For me, in my head, I somehow get gifted a ridiculous amount of money, and my goal is to put up a wrestling company. I want that wrestling company to be as good as it could be, even if it is my own little puff project. That
right, but if you don't know that you're not doing well,
that's what it becomes the problem is. And I feel like people around him are hurting him, and they're plateauing the company because of it by accident.
You're in an echo chamber of to every metric that you look at this, and I understand of. This is not a biased thing. This is just literally, these are the standards they've publicly said that they view themselves across, which is still constantly goalpost moving. We've talked about ratings. We've talked about demos. We've talked about cage match ratings. We've talked about Meltzer star ratings. Literally, you're getting to the markiest of levels to validate what you are doing and why it's better than your competition. It doesn't have to be better. It just has to be different. It has to be compelling. It has to be entertaining. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
No one's expecting you at 3 years in to take down Titan Towers.
Yeah. And again, I think it's one of these companies finding the happy medium gets us back to the glory days of wrestling. And we've seen the uptick. We've talked about the WWE having a record year. We've talked about the growth of AEW. They're selling, apparently they've now surpassed SummerSlam in overall ticket sales for Wembley with 5 matches announced now. Very intriguing overall. But I mean, again, I think there's one channel that's doing too much drama and entertainment. The other channel's doing too much chaos and craziness. And if they could find a happy medium, they'd be killing it.
Well, I think it could be more of one company seems like it's saying steadfast to one story, almost to a detriment, and not expanding upon that, versus the other company is expanding so much on this story and that story and that story that you can't keep track with any mainline story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Show was better than last week. I agree. Show was better than last week. Was it better than last week? Yeah, I don't think last week was good either. KJ, can you explain to me how the hell Impact Wrestling has lasted for almost 30 years, yet WCW wouldn't last for a decade, and they went bankrupt? In my country, when it comes to gambling, there's a saying, know your limit, stay within it. I don't know if you guys have that. But it's
you gotta know when to hold
them, right?
Know when to fold them.
So it's this national slogan, and that's what I think Impact has done is they know their limits and they stay within it. They take people when they're available. they've signed multiple people that were jaded or angry with one, like a WWE, and they get them in for cheap and they give them a platform. And that's why they continue to go. Like, we've seen a bunch of women leave recently. We've seen a bunch of men leave or injuries happen, and they just bring in other people and they make them start like kind of stand out and do good. So they've always stayed within that bubble. WCW shot their wad and ran out of gas real quick.
Well, one was playing with very much house money. The other one's kind of jumped ownership from what was it, Panda Enterprises to Dixie Carter.
Oh my God.
To why am I blanking on NWA Smashing Pumpkins?
Billy Corgan.
There we go. His owner. Well, in between there was Anthem as well. And I might be wrong in this, but to me, if I'm remembering the facts correctly, I think there shows a difference between a publicly traded company and a privately traded company.
Yeah.
A publicly traded company that's on the stock market under Warner Media and everything, especially when you had the merger with AOL, of when that company was hemorrhaging money, they eventually are just going to cut ties with that. This is no longer a profitable business, no matter what, no matter of any sort of lineage, anything like that. With Impact always, to my knowledge, being a privately traded company. We've seen it with Dixie Carter involving fucking even Vince Russo when she was she was literally told by your cable providers, your TV deals execs saying, don't hire this man. So we're going to just hire him on the low. This has literally just been how much money will someone invest into it before they decide they need to move on from it.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I think WCW is the story of Icarus. They got too close to the sun. Their shit melted and they hit the fucking ground hard. And that's what, right? Like, where I don't think Impact ever really reached for the sun. They just wanted a little bit of warmth.
They wanted the Monday Night War with WWE Raw. You had Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. What are we talking about?
Well, that's because of the WCW influence. So
right, exactly.
They go back to their pocket and survive.
But that's every other promotion that tries to put WWE on the radar instead of just trying to do the best that they can do.
Yeah.
And singular focus ends up just going the WCW effect.
Yeah. No, I mean 100%. Like, that's where they tried to shadow box with God for a second, then went, oh no, this is gonna work, right back into their fucking pocket. And that's where they are. They've benefited when WWE was going through all those budget cuts, and everybody talked about the people that ended up in AEW. Impact saw a nice resurgence because they were bringing in a lot of talent.
Well, they've managed to adapt. They've managed to survive. They've managed to, like I said, it all becomes on who wants to invest in everything. Like, at one point, Impact was on Pop TV. It was only on Access TV, or was only on Twitch. It's had a lot of really rough patches.
Yeah.
And it's coming out like a rougher than a badger's ass, but it still managed to survive through it all.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. Zuckerberg is legit BJJ trained. Elon trained
by who?
Krav Maga mostly. Was he fucking Steven Seagal?
Right. Well, yeah, no, that's
Keto.
Yeah,
I remember Keto. I remember when it was a big deal. Fun fact, I snuck into Under Siege.
And then you never watched the Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, I was like, what do we do here? Imagine we almost got kicked.
Right. Well, trust me, there's so much just funny shit to watch online when it comes to Steven Seagal.
He really is. Cesaro was great this week. He is hilarious. I think they're struggling with Cesaro and Moxley carrying this without Danielson. I don't understand why Danielson couldn't still be a presence. I don't expect him to wrestle, but why can't he talk?
I'm struggling to still get the reasoning, the motivations behind all of this. Like, it's really that's another thing with this of we're really writing talent and shit till the wheels fall the fuck off on this. We're writing storylines until they give out.
Yeah.
We're not diverging. We're not creating anything new off of it. We're just writing shit until it ends.
Oh, that was a botch and a half. Arrow started literally wrestling with an LED light and they botched the finish. That's hilarious. Pretty much. GCW is more interesting. Pretty much everything is more interesting than Rampage, Damien. And we're
I'm
gonna
amazed at this point that Rampage still exists.
do something with it. Honestly, it's fucking ridiculous. TK needs to hire Scott D'Amore again. I think it goes back to he could hire whoever he wants. He could hire fucking Triple H. It doesn't mean he's gonna listen to him, and that's where it comes down to. There's a lot of good. They had William Regal, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's 100% the biggest aspect and everything. I've even joked about like he could hire us and everything. Well, cool. Well, we could pitch 18 million fucking ideas. If he doesn't listen to it now, none of them, then it doesn't matter worth a goddamn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we've heard people like Mark Henry and others talk about some of the indie talent, independent talent, the people that had come out of the indies or haven't really been in a system that didn't really want to hear it. Didn't want to hear how to make their spots stand out better or how to slow things down. They're just, no, we do what we do. Adam Page went on the record of saying, like, I don't need to listen to fucking.
I still think as far as, and I guess we can, I don't know if we're heading towards
the door here. So.
But I'll say this, wrapping up a lot of what we've talked about with AEW and everything, when it goes from the women's division to how it's booked just in general across the board to attitudes and everything backstage. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how management puts their foot down and how management establishes how they're going to run this shit. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that Tony will not put his foot on anything ever. And refuses to and can't stand if he had anyone around him that would say contrary.
Yeah. It's funny as hell because I just realized I'm watching an old Impact and Don Callis is on commentary with Josh Matthews. It's hilarious. Don Callis with a little bit of hair. It's fucking hilarious. Something was wrong when they threw more money on Hulk Hogan. Yeah, but I mean, we won't get into this, but it's name value. And Hogan had the name value, and you're completely right. It's dumb booking, but name.
Maybe that'll be next Luna's next lounge there of, or her first members one to where she goes into, the decline of TNA.
Yeah, I agree. KJ and Nick, what Crazy Steve get a big tag team to join with him? I think just put him on a singles run, Victor.
Yeah, singles run, like you said, if he dials back the face paint, he kind of just becomes more human, like we were talking about with Bray Wyatt there.
Right.
That works better.
I want Impact versus MLW Dream Show. That might be fun. A lot of talent there. Absolutely.
Can we just cherry pick? Well, we had people talking about trades we could do with AW. Could we do trades with MLW and just get like Hammerstone and Fatu over in WWE?
That would be very interesting. Still a lot of rumors about Fatu and what he's going to do. And
well, I feel on a side note, I feel like with Fatu, where he goes, controversy follows, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be very interesting how we would fit into that system. But Blake Christian versus Bay tomorrow, early prediction. I told you yesterday, Damien, it's going to be Blake Christian.
Yeah.
There you go. When the talent, all right, we're going to head towards the door. So we're going to click the last couple, stop sending in last call on big, long questions. When the talent knows they can go above a William Regal to TK and get what they want, nothing will ever change. And it's not just, I mean, the long list, we talk about Jerry Lynn and Taz and Mark Henry and Big Show and Swimmy and Swami and Swanson and Samson. Yeah, I mean, fuck, if you're not going to listen, you're just going to keep putting out this shit.
Yeah. It becomes one of those of you get that back and forth of, well, no, we don't say that. We say we'll listen and everything. Well, right. Well, nothing's changed to pot meat kettle, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. It just feels like a bit of a pack mentality within the business.
Oh, 100%. It's a sorority and a fraternity masquerading as a professional wrestling company. Yes, 100%. Last call for long comments. First call for praise and admiration, I guess.
Anthony says, then explain to me how multiple top of the card guys that leave Impact wrestlers have complained of ownership refusing to pay them top money because they don't have it. That's why that's why they've really been able to, and testament to Scott D'Amore, Nick, they've kept the flow of talent going through because they know they can't pay certain people. So people wander off.
We talked about baseball much earlier in the podcast. And by the way, if you still remember that, thank you for tuning in for the long way. But Impact is very much the Oakland A's, the Tampa Bay Rays, if anything, even maybe more the Toronto Blue Jays versus WWE being the New York Yankees. If they can just pay whatever the fuck they want for talent, versus Impact's got to still work within what they can afford to do. It as we've talked about, if they've jumped, they were on Pop TV at one point. You ain't paying top dollar for talent when you're on a TV guide channel.
Yeah. It was like, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, the Blue Jays, Yankees, right? You guys had this huge budget, and we were very Canadian conservative with our budget.
That's inflation. That's inflation. That's different.
Right? Funny, James. The decline of Trish and Albert, not even Test and Albert, Trish and Albert.
You put some respect on my name, Test, on his name. But I honestly was a big fan of Test, and I was a big fan of his theme song, even though you can't make a fucking word out of it.
Right? The emergence is in Toronto. Yes, it is. Luna Havoc will be live in person. I got a question. Vijas has left the chat. All right, that's a statement.
I was gonna say, you had to announce you were leaving. What?
Right there you go. Jacob Fatu returns to GC.
Or is that a question of asking if you have or have not? Sorry,
I don't know. He's he might be here, but he's not all there.
Are we ever? Are we ever?
Nah, man. So without further ado, folks, we're gonna shut this one down. Thank you for joining us on Friday, Junior. Thank you for joining us, or hopefully enjoying Impact coverage tonight. I know it was a bit of a Thursday ramble, but that's what we like here on Thursdays, where we just take it all in. But we'll be back tomorrow for the doubleheader. Wait, I thought I did well. I tied that next.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I thought it was good.
No.
Give me a thumbs up. Come on now. No. Yeah, come back tomorrow. We got the doubleheader. We got SmackDown. We got Rampage. We got more wrestling this weekend. And we got more content coming your way, more fun stuff to get into. And check out all those links below. Subculture, I believe, did sign, by the way, Aaron, as they are the champions right now. So we'll see how long they stick around. Other than that, folks, we greatly appreciate you. Keep it up and keep being a part of this wonderful family. Nick, that's all I got.
Our shit is real. Our shit is raw. Our shit is authentic. What are you talking about that wrestling? You better put that for life with it. Why?
And you can't have that pause without us in it. I love it. See you on the flip side, folks. Come back tomorrow. Good night.